This is Sports Show.
1999, Mike Maslowski.
Yep.
Who I believe
Linebacker.
came to the aforementioned high school that I played football at.
Yes.
One day, randomly. I don't know.
Went on to star in Monsters, Inc.
Almost entirely.
I broke Josh.
I can't do this radio show anymore.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
I simply can't. These are hostile work conditions. I can't be forced to work like this. I can't be forced to work like this. I am just sitting back in my chair staring at the sky, hoping that God's hand comes through the ceiling and takes me home.
Take the show with you by listening on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app at 810WHB.com or by searching for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
I think the reputation of this show, because of you, Rudy, has
Increased?
been... No, I think, Rudy, that
Trending up?
the reputation of the show, because of you, has been sullied.
This is Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I love that intro for a lot of reasons, and I promise not every segment of this show. I know I've been referencing the liners a lot over the last few days or weeks or whatever, and I can't help it, because sometimes they're just such a fun little time capsule back in the recent history of this show. That one's among my favorite, though, because it has two really clear hurdles for everyone to get over to enjoy the bit, and maybe three. The three factors are that you have to know who Mike Maslowski was and is. You have to know who Mike Wazowski is.
Can I be honest?
And you have to think that that's funny.
I think I don't remember who was who. Maslowski's the chief with the one eye.
You know, I think Mike Wazowski would be very hard to tackle. He's got skinny legs, and if you can get to his legs, you're in good shape. But remember, like, somebody called, like, I think it was Maurice Jones-Drew, a rolling bowling ball covered in knives. Whose nickname was the muscle hamster? It was a Buccaneer.
That was Maurice Jones-Drew.
Was it?
Yeah.
I think there was a Buccaneer who might have ended up.
Well, I think didn't he play for the Bucs for like a year or two?
I thought he played. No.
He played.
I googled muscle hamster and found Doug Martin.
Oh, I forgot. Okay, yeah. I forgot about Doug Martin. Boise State. Ridiculous of me to forget.
Yeah, ridiculous of you to forget. Boise State, indeed.
Maurice Jones-Drew played at UCLA, by the way.
Thanks.
With why can't I remember? Oh, Mercedes Lewis, the tight end for the Packers, backup tight end for the Packers.
I love we're
because they were back-to-back first and second round picks by the Jags out of the same school in the same year. So it's really sticks out.
We're in reruns, like literally a minute into the actual show here tonight, and if you came here expecting more than that, maybe that's on you. But it makes me so freaking happy that Mercedes Lewis played. I always make a Mercedes, and it's Mercedes.
I think it's Mercedes.
I don't know why I do it. Mercedes Lewis just last weekend played a football game. Is he out?
How he's still playing?
Is he still out there?
Yeah. He played for the Packers. He was in the game last week.
I was wondering if he recorded a stat last week. Last week, Mercedes Lewis had one catch for 0 yards.
Kings stay kings, man.
He had one target for 1 reception and 0 yards. And Maurice Jones-Drew hasn't played football in like at least 5 years.
Feels like 2 decades.
It really does.
I know it hasn't been that long, but I bet Maurice Jones-Drew has not stepped on a football field, and on an NFL football field, to play football in like 7. That's my guess. I'm going with 7.
2014, and that was he did not play his entire career in Jacksonville.
He left.
He did end with one different team for 1 year
with the Raiders.
He sure was.
In my head, I was thinking
completely forgot about that.
He went Jacksonville, Raiders, Tampa Bay, but the reality was I mixed up Doug Martin.
Him and Doug Martin.
Maurice Jones-Drew.
And shame on you.
It's pretty like they were both shorter, stockier running backs. I think that's fine.
Yeah, I don't think either of them should be horribly offended, nor do I think you should have to issue a public apology.
I didn't confuse Jamar Chase with Nick Bosa.
Now, Les Miles might have done that.
Absolutely. Well, Les would never make... There's one distinction there Les would never mess up, I get the feeling.
So one of them plays defensive end.
One of them's white.
What? Wait, which one of them's white?
Jamar.
Nick Bosa's been white this whole time? I'm glad you mentioned that, because if anyone hasn't heard this story yet, it's worth your second of thought processing just because it's hilarious. In fact, I actually think we have the audio of that. So why don't you crack that open? I did not think we were going to start the show here, but here we are. It's hilarious. Also, let me tell you the things we're doing over the course of this show. It is very almost entirely sports tonight in all the best ways. We've got Sad Fans on Reddit, Buffalo Bills edition, which I don't know how long it is, but the spectral form of Beards McFly returned to this mortal coil to just slap together another effort, which is incredibly noteworthy because, of course, he's had to do it in a spectral form.
First time in 21 days.
Felt a little resentful. It's very. Rudy? Have you ever had to commute from here to hell and back, which is where Beards is at? I think.
I mean, I hear.
I almost made it heaven, but I thought about it again. And
well, I mean, let's be real. I've read some books about it. Dante's Inferno.
Playing Diablo is not the same thing as reading Dante's Inferno. Just so you know.
Hey, I never played Diablo. Did I play the Dante's Inferno video game? Yes.
Wow.
Never played Diablo. So, yeah, I learned about Dante's Inferno from a video game, but it's a video game based off the actual book. It's basically reading. There's dialogue in there. That's like at least worth 3 books.
It's like, yeah, I did serve. I mean, I played Call of Duty a lot, but...
Well, that's just wrong. That's stolen valor.
As opposed to
reading a book, yeah. I think it's fair.
You read the dialogue. That's really good.
What? Johnny says Rudy's parents told him no on Diablo. My parents. It's not that my parents told me no on Diablo. I was just not into computer gaming much back then, unless it was like Pajama Sam or Putt Putt. Because here's the thing. I 100% got my dad to buy me Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and within the first 20 seconds of that game, you hear the F word like 3 times. And I played that right out in the living room. Everybody here. That wasn't really much of an issue. Just wasn't much into the computer gaming, again, unless it was like Putt Putt or Pajama Sam.
You're going to have to remind me to tell you one very funny thing in the break that it's not like a horrible thing. You're not missing out on a great joke, listener. It just needs context. That's not worth explaining here. The other thing is that I, in the break, will put out a poll question at JB Brisco, and I think off the top of my head, I think I've got it. Choose your franchise. Putt Putt, Pajama Sam, Spy Fox, Freddy Fish. That is the humongous entertainment Mount Rushmore.
That's the big 4.
And you bringing those back out
4.
here makes me so happy. I think I might have put the most Putt Putt Goes Racing or whatever that one was my favorite, because the post story was you could just change your paint color and then race in a pretty okay, computer racing game for kids. That ruled. But I think second for me might have been Spy Fox. I have a lot of Spy Fox related memories.
Putt Putt is by far the one that I played the most. So that's probably it's probably my one. But weirdly enough, I don't think I ever owned a Pajama Sam game, but I had a friend who owned them all, right? So it was I was always so excited to go over and play Pajama Sam. So that might have been a lack of access to it. But funny enough, it was I don't know if because I also never had owned Spy Fox or Freddy the Fish, but I definitely had an aunt who owned all the Freddy the Fish games, and then somebody else who owned all the Spy Fox games. And so I played them all, but we just had it all divided up into 4 different places, right? It was I controlled, it's Lord of the Rings, the humans got 7 rings. I had the Putt Putt ring. The elves had Freddy the Fish. The dwarves had Pajama Sam, and then Mordor, the dark dude, had Freddy the Fish.
You can now vote on Twitch. I have done a poll. You can just choose your fighter right there. Choose your franchise. If any of those really struck you, I'll put it out on Twitter momentarily. Apparently, Twitch polls can only last for up to 10 minutes, which I guess makes sense in the grand scheme of Twitch. But I would like to. I
meant
think
for like decision-making type things.
Right. I think whenever I put this out on Twitter, I think and I hope that we are going to have an outpouring of people with the shared experience of remembering at least one of those games most fondly.
They were good.
I remember Spy Fox Operation Ozone very well. Here's the crazy thing. I think most of those games are on Steam now.
Yes.
I think there's even like a Steam sale.
Basically all of them are. There was, I'm a little mad I missed out on it. There was a Humble Bundle sale.
Oh.
That had like all of them for like $10.
I wonder if I'd actually, you know what? I'm wondering if I bought that.
You might have bought that.
I might have had that.
We've definitely talked about it, and I just forgot to, and I was very upset because it was just like, I don't know if I was going to play these games again, but like, I just want to kind of have them in the old Steam collection.
I'm Googling this now. I don't know.
Not that this collection of games, not on sale is going to cost me an arm and a leg to buy. But,
right. You can buy humongous.com /games. You can get the whole variety packs there. Oh, okay. So I think I have good news and bad news. Because here's the thing that I was about to lament. If these games were on Switch, I would legitimately go back and replay them. I think at least to find out if they're still good video games. By my own judgment.
It makes perfect sense for those games to be on Switch. Like those are good Switch games.
Literally perfect.
Yeah.
Here's the secondary thing. I'm guessing licensing of some sort would get in the way. Do you know how hard I would replay Backyard Baseball if I could do it on the Switch? Any edition. I think it was 01 for me.
That's another one that I'm surprised is not on. Like, I'm just surprised those games aren't on the Switch. It just feels like, especially for the developers, again, I don't know exactly where those rights are at, right? Maybe that's the issue.
Right.
But it also seems
Do you have to get Mike Piazza?
Yeah. Well even
if
if it's not even like the actual, the ones with the Players Association, or with the actual players, right? Because I remember the original Backyard Baseball. That was my first experience with Backyard Baseball. It didn't have any of the players, right? It was just
Pablo Sanchez and Keisha Phillips and
that was fantastic.
Yeah, of course.
Also, you could just go back to that. That feels like a game that you could very easily put up on the Switch store for like $5 and make some really easy, quick cash, because a lot of people would buy that, even if they never played the game.
Absolutely,
a lot of people are buying that game.
So the bad news is it doesn't appear that those are available anywhere on the Switch store. Would you like some good news?
Oh boy!
There for $30, there is a bundle. Humongous Adventure Pack, 10 games, some Spy Fox, some Pajama Sam, some Freddy Fish, some Putt Putt. On the App Store.
That's right. I forgot about they are on the Apple Store.
You can buy these games now and play them on your phone. There's enough screen space.
I say it makes perfect because
it's a point and click.
They're point and click adventure, which also work on even Switches are obviously touchscreen, but
absolutely.
Even taking that out of the way, right? The Switch is a great point and click system. It's perfect for iOS. I didn't think about that.
So a couple things here. Well, so let me tell you. Did I say what was going to be on the show today? I said sad fans. I don't think I gave you the payoff of what's happening at 9 tonight. At 9 o'clock, this is the main reason I said that I think tonight's just going to be a very almost entirely sports edition of Almost Entirely Sports, for better or worse. So help me God.
Amen.
And I mean, so help us God. Because at 9 o'clock.
Us, Pajama Sam the God.
Help us, Lord Pajama Sam.
Lord Pajama. He wore a cape, and he was in his pajamas. He was just a superhero in his pajamas.
And like
Pajama Sam in the MCU.
Oh man, so stoked.
If Marvel is it Humongous Entertainment? Is that
Humongous?
Yeah. If Marvel or Disney could reach out to Humongous Entertainment and maybe buy some rights, you need some. Hey, here's the thing: everybody's is looking for content for their own streaming services, right? Like, it doesn't matter. HBO, it wants stuff for HBO Max. Disney obviously wants stuff for Disney Plus. They have a lot of stuff on there. You're always looking for more, right? I feel like a little Freddy the Fish, Putt Putt, Pajama Sam, Spy Fox, MC, universe, multiverse on Disney Plus.
I'm ready.
It seems like a no-brainer.
I'll buy the only streaming service I don't have currently, I think, is Hulu. I'll get Hulu or Amazon Prime or Apple TV. I don't care. I will pay for your service if it could give me those games. I wish those were on Apple Arcade because I am paying for Apple Arcade also and not really using it very much right now.
I got like 6 free months of Apple Arcade, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, cool. Like, I'll redeem this.
Mine is also
I want
free,
to
right.
like check it back out, and I just haven't really done it yet.
I got some suggestions I'll run by at some point that I
there
can't think off
seems
the top
like
of my
some
head.
like decent stuff on there.
There's
now,
some good
but
stuff.
Some of it is it's like I got so many games.
I still haven't said what's happening at 9 o'clock tonight.
We still got that.
At 8 o'clock, we've got Sad Fans on Reddit Buffalo Bills edition. It's back. It is here. Do we know how long it is? I did not ask. I didn't have my Ouija board with me earlier today, and so communicating with Beards was tough. I have to imagine, however long the segment goes, it will have a lot of deep sadness.
Just over 4.
Okay. So we'll have 4 minutes of Buffalo Bills fans weeping and gnashing their teeth at 8 o'clock. And then at 9 o'clock, we've got a double in-studio guest double feature because both Kent Swanson and Tucker D. Franklin, president of Power Rankings, former AAS intern, both
Still
of them,
a little chief boy.
always a little chief boy, and both of them now, of course, of KC Sports Network, both of them will be in studio with us at 9 o'clock tonight. That should be good. I was going to say that should be good, and then I changed my intonation to be that should be good.
We've had them both on before. We've never had them both on together.
Yeah, I know they're good whenever we have them on individually.
And here's the thing. I watch this.
Did you say hair's the thing? Because you're so right.
I watched some KCSN stuff, and last time I saw Ken on KCSN, he was losing his mind. Now, this was, of course, after the Chiefs beat the Bills, so it was understandable. Last time I saw Tucker, he was doing a running TikTok. Separately, they're a lot. Put them together. Oh, boy.
Oh, my goodness. I also have just remembered yet another. I've remembered 2 things now that, again, lack proper context. We've had a heck of a day today already, and the show has just now begun. Did you have the Jamar Chase audio that we were referring to earlier? This is wild, and there's some important context, at least from a KU perspective. If you haven't heard this yet, you should hear it. And then also, I do want to acknowledge some video stream comments about the Steam Deck and the new Pokemon game. But we're gonna jump around a little bit today. Listen to something, a story that Jamar Chase, of course, the fabulous Bengals receiver out of LSU. Listen
Greatest,
to
football commit in KU history.
I should have said
KU football recruit ever.
Incredible LSU product by way of Kansas.
Yep.
Kansas product. Kansas built. LSU. He just was out there, right?
Yeah. He developed as a player in those 12 glorious days at Kansas.
Yeah, where would he be right now without committing to KU for 12 days?
Not in the NFL.
Like, probably not even on a roster, yeah. Probably not. He probably never would have even gone to LSU.
For the USFL?
That's right. He probably would have been working out for Todd Haley's team.
Oh, that'd be fun to watch.
Actually, that might be a little sad. But listen to this story that Jamar Chase told earlier today.
I can tell you honestly, one of my best stories ever. Les Miles told me I couldn't play receiver when I was coming out of high school. So, that was something I had on my shoulders growing up. Les Miles told me he thought I could play cornerback. I wasn't really in full position at receiver yet. So, I just kept working in my craft off season, waking up early in the mornings to work out. I just kept focused.
When you were drafted, Joe Burrow told us, physical gifts aside, you were very bright, had a high football IQ. Where did you learn that, and how were you able to just bring that into your success this first year?
I'll say, that grows over, the intelligence of high school football, trying to be advanced in high school. I went to a private school, so, I learned a lot more there than some other systems in where I grew up at. So, once I got to LSU, that helped me out a little more with reading stuff, learning plays. So everything just got a little easier once I got to LSU. And then when Joe got there, Joe started showing me the coverages and how should I read, film. So it just got improved. I just improved it every year, once I met new people.
So there on the back half is a little bit of Ja'Marr Chase's growth and his evolution as a receiver. He's a bleeping rookie right now, which seems insane because I feel like I've been watching him just catch passes over the top of corners in this league for years, and the main story around him during the preseason was he was dropping a bunch of passes, which feels just as silly now as it should have felt to everyone then. That's right. I didn't have the stripe anymore.
He was just like, I can't straight up see the football.
But
he didn't say that. He just had a quote like, yeah, it's just getting used to a football that doesn't have a stripe, and everybody was like, oh, he can't see the football. He's blind.
I
think he learned how to see.
Seems like he did. The first part of that, and this is before Les Miles was at KU, David Beatty got Ja'Marr Chase to commit to Kansas.
Tony Hull, the running backs coach, was hired from New Orleans. Like in the span of like a week, got like 10 kids from Louisiana to commit. Well, most of them didn't end up at KU. My favorite thing about Tony Hull is Tony Hull had a job before coaching football. You know what it was? He quit his job to go coach high school football because football was just the passion. He was when people say the quote, it can't be that difficult, it's not rocket science. Yeah. He was a literal rocket scientist for NASA.
That's pretty good.
He quit his job to go be a high school football coach, and he's still coaching somewhere in college, but I just love that. Just like a dude who was just a rocket scientist, and now he's the running back coach at KU.
Maybe that's what it took to get Ja'Marr Chase to make that mistake briefly. But so, not Les Miles at Kansas. Les Miles watched Ja'Marr Chase play football and thought, I just don't know. I just don't know if he should be running down the sidelines, mossing every human being that dares to be within mossing distance of him.
To be fair, he was very focused on his very prolific acting career at that time.
Acting, at least in that one movie, acting like he wasn't covering up a bunch of things at LSU and also at Kansas. A lot of acting for Les Miles.
Did a commercial or two.
I just thought that I saw that on Twitter first today. And Rudy said this while the audio was playing, but I had the thought also, and I'll steal it now. If Les Miles ever admitted to anyone ever after that moment that at one point he thought Ja'Marr Chase wasn't a wide receiver, that should have been enough to say, well, this guy can't be in charge of anything. It's just amazing. It's just amazing.
Again, he was... I don't remember if he was the number one receiver coming out of high school, but I mean, he was a 5-star recruit, a top 2 or 3 wide receiver coming out of high school. There was no doubt about it. Just a little
Les Miles didn't have a place for him.
Hey, he did a defensive end.
It's unbelievable. Because whenever I saw the tweet the first time, my thought was like, what if Les Miles watched Ja'Marr Chase? And he thought, I don't think he's a wide receiver.
That boy's a kicker.
Where do you think he should play? Because, like, I think generally the best athlete on the football field in terms of, like, freak athleticism, in terms of top-end speed and top-end quickness. I mean, look, like, not to say that that tackles aren't remarkably athletic, or defensive ends for that matter. Literally, if you're on a football field, you're doing incredible things as an athlete. But I don't feel like you hear a lot of guys getting converted from wide receiver elsewhere because they're like too athletic. You know, Ryan Tannehill can make that jump work because he wasn't a wide receiver. And he should have played quarterback.
And it's like, this isn't a Trayvon Diggs situation where, he goes to Alabama to play wide receiver and can't get on the field because there are just 5 Ja'Marr Chases on the field in front. And so, Nick Saban's like, this dude's a good athlete. We need to find a way to get him on the field.
Right, find him a spot.
Let's throw him at corner because unfortunately, we've got Calvin Ridley and Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle and 2 other first-round picks who I probably can't remember at the moment in front of him, right?
Yep, right.
That's not what that was.
I don't. Les Miles is Bill Polian. And the 2 of them should each get a USFL franchise.
Didn't I see Bill Polian in the news recently?
Oh, I don't know.
Wasn't he like linked to something?
Oh no.
I feel like he was in the news for something. I don't remember.
Oh man, that's really
might be
risky. 'Cause
wrong.
now I gotta Google it. Oh, it wasn't something like bad. It was like rumors about the Bears.
Yeah, just something. Yeah, maybe it was
okay.
the Bears. I just like yeah, not bad. Like linked with a job. I just couldn't remember if it was NFL or USFL or what.
I think he was. It looked like he was an advisor to the Bears on some level, maybe throughout their GM head coaching search.
Got it. Good news is I see that he was pushing the Bears to hire Morocco Brown and Matt Eberflus. I don't know who these two gentlemen are.
Eberflus is a legit.
Yeah,
I don't know the first guy.
Just
either.
if I was a Bears fan, I just would have been a little nervous if my team hired the guy who Bill Polian wanted to hire. They didn't, so I'm just assuming.
I wouldn't want my team to take advice from Bill Polian at this point.
He made one really good decision.
Yes.
Great decision. Truly amazing. Deserve all the credit in the world for drafting Peyton Manning.
Most people probably would have made that choice, that spot.
For sure, for sure. Some might have went with Ryan Leaf, you never know. But you know what? Sometimes you deserve, right?
Was he still there when they drafted Andrew Luck? Because he's got to do that twice, if so.
I think so.
He may not have been. I don't remember.
Actually, it might have been Ryan Grigson. Grigson was a right round because
I think that would have made sense.
Because he drafted Trent Richardson. I think Richardson was the year after Luck. Anyways,
this show has a legal requirement to mention the name of Trent Richardson once a year. And I know we did it in 2020 and 2021. We've knocked out 2022 already.
I mean, well, to be fair, like Trent Richardson made it easy because he was in I think he was in the XFL.
He was a
the
Birmingham
AAFL.
Iron, I think.
He might have even played football in the Mexican Football League.
I think he did.
Yes. We picked Mexican Football League teams.
That's where it started. So I think we talked about him in 2020 because he was a Birmingham Iron, and then in 2021 he was like a partner / like head coach, maybe player in the Mexican Football League.
Yes.
I wonder if that ever actually. I can't believe we're doing this in the first segment.
I hope Trent Richardson's just living his best life, man. That's all I hope. I hope he's just living his. I forget the character from Eastbound and Down when he goes down to Mexico to pitch. Just hope he's living his best life down there.
Birmingham Iron was an AAF team, not an XFL team. We regret the error.
We apologize.
Yeah, in May, he signed a one-year deal to join the Cadillos de Chihuahua franchise in Football Americano de Mexico.
Wallaby asked, what did I miss so far? A lot, Wallaby.
I haven't seen any tape of him in the Mexican Football League. So I'm not sure if that ever got off the ground or if that maybe the season hasn't started yet. There's a ongoing unpleasantness that could have slowed the debut.
It happens. Like maybe the cold is going around, a little flu action.
Sure, yeah, it could have just been that. I think he might have gotten cut from the Birmingham Iron.
Oh yeah, I when you said that, I thought you were talking about the Mexican football team.
I
was like, oh, that's brutal. Yeah, no, I don't think he did anything for the Birmingham. I think it was very clear he was very much washed up.
His Wikipedia page says that he is an American football running back for the Cadillos de Chihuahua of Football Americano de Mexico.
Yeah, baby, come back alive.
Seems like there's
dreams never die.
Seems like there's a chance.
Keep on grinding, prove those haters wrong.
Oh, he also played for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Heck yeah.
So he played
Football's
with them.
Going to take him around the world. By world, I mean North America, but hey, that's most of the world.
Pretty much all the world,
that's at
really.
least 3 countries. How many countries are there? Like 12? I mean, that's at least a quarter of the world.
I was worried that we may have not talked about Trent Richardson in 2021 just because I wasn't sure the timeline.
Did you do like a Google search, like an AS Trent Richardson search?
No, even better.
I was going to say, because
Richardson signed with the Cadillos de Chihuahua of Mexico, the Football Americano de Mexico, FAM, on February 11th, 2021.
Nice.
So we're good.
I was going to say, I would say there's an 80% chance whatever hour we talked about him in, like Trent Richardson's name is in that hour's
Great chance.
Title.
This is the part I remember, though. When asked of his role on the team, Richardson said, quote, "My role will be, we'll have to let y'all know." and speculated that his role could vary from, quote, making decisions to, quote, might being part of the D. I don't know if he means defense there, or if there's something I'm genuinely not thinking of. Because if he was going to, like, go become a defensive end or a D tackle or something, you know, I'd like to see it.
Is it possible by D, that was just how he refers to team?
Yeah,
everything
is possible at this point. He is signed deals in the CFL, the AAF, and the FAM. Nothing at this point is fully outside of the realm of possibility. Let's take a break.
That Bill Polian was a great resource to the Chicago Bears.
I did learn that.
That's what sources are saying.
I learned that moments ago. Mere moments ago, I learned that. And that might not be great news for Justin Fields because he can scramble.
Well, he's a running back.
And I'm afraid
Bill Polian might move him to safety.
I'm afraid that Bill Polian might try to make Justin Fields a slot corner.
Or a defensive end. Get a little edge rush, a little speed rush off that edge.
A little bit worried about Bill Polian getting too close to Ryan Pace's new team. Congratulations again to Ryan Pace. Good luck.
Bill Polian's going to get a team. And he is going to make Jamar Chase and Justin Fields his bookend end. Oh, boy. Watch out for that defense, baby.
This is all kind of like ha-ha funny. The Jacksonville Jaguars spent a first-round pick on Travis Etienne, and Urban Meyer said that he was going to basically play wide receiver. I think he was running with the receivers in training camp.
Yeah, he literally said he's basically a wide receiver for us. We haven't heard that.
To be fair, I don't think Andy Reid or Brett Veach ever said he's basically a wide receiver about Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
No.
That was a pundit thing.
That was a very common, for me, I remember Seth saying, that was, I think, the first time I heard it.
Was it really? Oh, man, I'm not going to be the one to remind him of that.
Sorry, Seth. I'm not.
Look,
I know you're listening.
We've said many times, Poe Buddy's nerfed.
Poe Buddy's nerfed. Seth, I know you and your 12 kids sit down every night at 7 and tune in. Kids, your dad's wrong every now and then. It just happens. When he tells you to eat his vegetables, eat your vegetables.
I actually think that even with all of the context of Seth apparently being the one that said that to us, and I'm going to say apparently being incorrect about it, if that is in fact true, allegedly, I still think that audio clip he might like to have because he could have somebody with a different voice telling his kids to listen to their dad. I think he'd probably appreciate that.
Yeah, probably.
You know what? I'm going to give him one also. So we can send him the podcast and say, hey, Seth, if you need anything, here you go. Here's just a couple different cuts of it. That was Rudy's. Mine would be, hey, Kaiser kids. Your dad's doing a great job, and you should listen to him. Except for whenever he talks about drafting running backs. Because as we've covered, nobody's nerfed. Clip that. We'll send that to Seth and distort my voice to make it sound like Rudy was saying that again. Because I'm not prepared to confront Seth on that. He hasn't even tased me yet. And now he is genuinely... All right, here's our last housekeeping thing. Seth genuinely is worried about tasing me.
And killing you. Yes.
And killing me. And I told him, I didn't end up in the hospital because I got shocked real bad or have like a weird heart arrhythmia. Right.
Just your pancreas.
Right.
And even then, it's really not failing. It's doing an above average job, right? It was 80% of it was working.
I mean, compared to the rest of the population, it's doing a pretty bad job.
Well,
it's still functioning.
What percentage was it?
It's doing a large percentage of what a pancreas does. It's just not doing the insulin and the glucagon.
If I remember right, you said it was 80.
That seems right.
B is above average. So it is doing, it's on the lower scale of above average, but it's doing an above average job. The problem is you need it to do an excellent job.
Right, that's right.
But the heart, as far as we know, A+.
It's fine. As far as we know, you're right.
Yeah, we'll say A- for a little bit of wiggle room.
I do have a small piece of technology on/in my arm at all times.
Wally B does say, would the taser interact with the sensor for your watch in some way? That's a good point.
Yeah, and so I could take off specifically the watch, but the Dexcom that is in my arm
could get bleeped up.
But I got to change that out every 10 days or so anyway. So we could time it out. I've been trying to tell Seth this. And I think most recently he said he genuinely thinks his wife would get really mad at him if Seth did tase me. Although he did also tell me that I could if I got my mom and Renee to sign off on it, then he would be willing to do it then. And I told him if he doesn't think my mom and Renee would sign off on me getting tased, he clearly doesn't know either of them very well. So I think that the hope is still alive. It's just now there's another logistical issue. Really should have just it would have been one segment, huh? 7:38. Sorry everybody. 38 minutes of commercial-free radio by accident. It would have been so much funnier if he would have tased me and then I would have gotten diabetes shortly thereafter.
Could have just blamed it on him.
I could have blamed it on him the whole time. I could have told him that a doctor said, like, hey doc, I want to, like, I know this isn't a thing, but like, I did get tased by a friend of mine for a funny bit, and then I got diabetes like a week later. Could those be connected? And then I would just tell Seth that the doctor said yes. It's like, oh yeah, well, really, and if you would have gotten tased for even like 1 second less, you might not have this chronic condition.
Or if you had just committed an actual crime of being tased because it was a funny bit. That's what that's what did it. That's what did it in the diabetes.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was one segment. We'll do Sad Fans at 8. Tucker and Kent at 9. And we talked about Jamar Chase for a little bit.
Football.
Trent Richardson.
Drew.
And Maurice Jones-Drew.
A lot of running back talk. Doug Martin.
The one thing that really does bum me out about the place that all the running back discourse has gotten, I've said this on this show many times. If you're a regular listener to this show, you're just hearing me repeat myself for no reason. But it really does bum me out that anyone would think that I don't genuinely really enjoy running backs, because I really do. But just, time and place and cost and everything. And that's the lesson that I hope Seth Kids gets from this.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page. is almost entirely sports with Joshua Brisco.
All right, well, so we've talked Chiefs for 9 hours this week. What are we going to do for this 10th hour? Porgs, 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 porgs,
Get rid of your
porgs.
pennies!
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I forgot to tweet out the poll question. Damn it. We had like 5 minutes there. Rudy and I just talked about Pokemon.
I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Ice Pyro also just commented bananas in pajamas earlier. And did you ever watch Bananas in Pajamas, Rudy? We talked about this before.
So I know of bananas and pajamas, pajamas and bananas, banana pajama.
Actually, if you just if you don't mind just clearing out real quick, if you just go ahead and actually just go. Why don't you stand in the corner
I
here?
watched some of it, but
why don't you stand in the corner? I'm going to go ahead and drive the bucket, and if you want to shoot a corner three, maybe I'll think about it.
I've watched some of it, but I would not say I would not say like I really watched it. If that makes sense, right? But I have seen it. I have seen it on television.
Bananas in pajamas, they're coming down the stairs. Bananas in pajamas, they're coming down in pairs. P-A-I-R-S, not P-E-A-R-S. I think in a fruit-centric universe like that, that would probably be pretty ghastly.
So what was it about?
So a few comments here from the Twitch that I wanted to touch on here within this within this hour, and then we'll do Sad Fans early next hour. We'll bring you some audio from the day as well. I mean, I'm intending on bringing you the audio. You know what I mean? We'll see how that goes. I'll do my best. There was a couple of questions here. It was Ice Pyro again who mentioned the Steam Deck. And if you don't know, the Steam Deck, I actually even have a sports connection here on this, believe it or not. Not that I feel terribly, tethered to that. It's almost entirely. But the Steam Deck is basically, Steam, the enormous, at this point, just like video game store and library manager and all of those things. It's a literal must-have for PC gaming. There are a couple of games that I have on PC that I don't play because I don't really play video games on my PC very often, which could change in a world where if I do end up actually, getting a beefy desktop, which we've talked about on the show before, and I still have some unread DMs. Sorry, specifically Ice Pyro and a handful of others. I think Human Torch and Ice Pyro might have both DM'd me about the PC thing. I'm sorry, guys. I haven't had time. I do intend on coming back to that, though. But the Steam Deck basically lets you access your Steam library in a handheld Switch-style game setting. You know, I mean, it's basically a Switch, but that connects your Steam library. One of the things that genuinely makes me so sad is that, like, every 3 months, I think I search again for, like, is there a football game of any sort on the Nintendo Switch? And there is the Mutant Football League, where you play as, like, skeletons and zombies and aliens and werewolves.
Is that? No, that's not Splatgore.
What?
Splatgore.
Is that the name of a series? Or is that a genre?
That's the Mutant Football League game, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Got Pennywise.
Yes, that is from that.
Splatgore.
Yes.
Okay, that is from that game.
Yes. Yeah, they have it was it was Slash Rick Mabones or something.
I bought that game, spent money on that game. Honestly, wasn't super, didn't enjoy the gameplay all that much.
Yeah.
And it was worth every penny just to go through every roster and read the names.
Yep, it really is.
Worth every bleeping penny.
That game lives and dies on its puns.
Was it the Kansas City Killer Clowns? Were we the KC Killer Clowns?
I don't remember.
I think we might have been the Killer Clowns.
But you can also read those for free. You know, you don't have to buy the game. I would say, as someone who is desperate for a good football game that it can be played on handheld mode, like, you know what I go back to? I go back to Retro Bowl on my phone. It's pretty good. It's relatively satisfying. But I play such a percentage of my video games in handheld mode now, because it's usually like Renee and I both get home at 10:45-ish, or I get home 10:45, she's a little early. But, like, we watch something, I'm playing something in handheld mode, there it is. The fact that there is not a way to play Madden in a handheld mode right now, like, there was on the Nintendo DS. I had the Ray Lewis Madden 2005 that I could play on my DS Lite. The graphics were terrible. I don't need them to be great now. I just want to play a franchise mode that I can play in handheld mode.
Reports are that Sony might be buying Electronic Arts now.
Really?
Are interested, right? After all, they have now, it sounds like, have reached out to Electronic Arts, Take-Two, and Ubisoft.
Interesting.
Which, I mean, kind of makes sense, right? Like, Microsoft goes and buys all this stuff, and now Sony is, and pretty soon, before you know it, every game developer is going to be owned by one of the two major markets. And I don't know if that's great for creative.
It's not good for anybody.
Wonderment, but it's the world where we're probably going to be living in, and I'm just going to stick with my Nintendo overlords, probably.
Yeah, you get Microsoft, Sony, or Nintendo. The three of them can exchange
Nintendo
blows
doesn't
forever.
really own any other studios, but they've been making their own. They've had their own stuff, right? Pokemon, Mario. Unlike all the Sony and Microsoft, who have bought studios, like they've had their own character since the 60s or 50s or whatever. Those guys.
So many.
Yeah.
Though they've got some they got some Sega stuff now.
Yes.
So there's a little bit of expansion there. Anyway, I saw whenever the Steam Deck was announced, my thought was like, I don't really need this. Games show up on Switch often enough. But now I'm very tempted by that, mostly because there is just still a Madden-shaped hole in my heart.
I really want the Analog Pocket now that it's come out and everybody just says great.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'll ever buy the Steam Deck, but I'm definitely going to wait till it comes out. Because I want to see, I want to make sure this thing is good before I spend money on it.
Yeah,
but a handheld Steam, literally a handheld device where you can access your Steam library is pretty cool. I have a decent amount of games on my Steam that I've not played because it's just finding time to,
right. That's all. Anyway. Is it time to start doing Chiefs Bengals? By the way, we played the Jamar Chase clip, but like, are we at a point right now where we are equipped to put Chiefs Bills back into a little package? Again, we had Chiefs press conferences today and stuff. Like the Chiefs need to move on to the next opponent. That's obvious.
Yeah.
Do we?
I don't know if we have to, but I do think, I think it's the beginning of your little looking back to a little looking forward, because like Tyrann Mathieu doesn't practice today.
Mm-hmm.
That's noticeable because obviously
concussion protocol.
We want him to. Not that he had to practice today to play this weekend, but just in general, the sooner you see him practicing, once you see him practicing, he's going to play.
In fact, I think that with the current construct of the concussion protocol, I think his first day back would have to have been tomorrow anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you want to keep an eye
And
on
honestly,
that.
Friday's the big day because that's just Andy Reid's day.
Right. I think it is kind of funny where if Chiefs Bills would have been the AFC Championship game, we could have gotten an entire week out of just like going through and finding more little things about that game. The funny, like, not ha-ha funny, but the curious part of it, and maybe this will make it more fun whenever we relive this 1,000 times from here on out, but there's stuff from that game. I mentioned the Byron Pringle touchdown yesterday. We talked about this with Harold yesterday. There's stuff from that game that, like, you'll go back and rewatch and have completely forgotten. There are Chiefs fans that forgot that Harrison Butker missed 4 points of football over the course of that game and then got the tie at the end. That's all good, but the Bills fans were the sad ones. We'll hear from them next.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The Chiefs and Bengals in the AFC Championship game. Live Sunday at 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Nobody wants to be on the bench, and sometimes we all need to change up our position. So if you're ready, reach out to Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric and get your new position. Share your skills and talent with a new team and be part of the Anthony family. Be on the best team. Check out all of the positions available for you at AnthonyPHCE.com today. That's AnthonyPHCE.com.
Do you know what the top 3 New Year's resolutions are? Losing weight, quitting smoking, and paying off credit cards. A1 Mortgage can't help you lose those pounds or put out the smoke, but we can help you with a fast, easy refinance that will knock out that credit card debt. Call A1 Mortgage at 816-822-8888. That's 822-8888, or apply online at a1mortgage.com. Contact A1 Mortgage and ask about the fast, easy refinance that has no out-of-pocket closing costs, no application fee, and you can even skip 2 months of payments. So call your doctor about losing those holiday pounds and kicking the nicotine. Call A1 Mortgage about helping with those holiday bills. 816-822-8888. That's 822-8888, or apply online at a1mortgage.com.
A1 Mortgage, making your dreams a reality is what we do.
A1 Mortgage Group, LLC, a Kansas and Missouri licensed mortgage company, NMLS 268370. Terms and conditions apply, subject to change without notice.
Dutch Boy Platinum Plus. It's only paint. It's only paint that comes in an award-winning twist and pour container. It's only paint that will transform your den with just 1 coat of salted lavender into a writer's sanctuary. It's only paint that will help you become TV's hottest writer, where you'll meet this guy.
Hey.
Who starred in That Thing.
Now that's a twist I didn't see coming.
So yeah, it's only paint. Only easy opening, smooth pouring, change your life both professionally and romantically paint. Dutch Boy. Only at Menards.
Who's to say you can't buy love? Take a bite of the good sense of good sense. Good sense makes good sense. You know what makes good sense? Having that special night where everybody gets their favorite dinner. Salmon for her, pot roast for him, pasta for the kids, sub sandwiches and sides to share. There'll be smiles everywhere, and don't forget the cookies. Our dinners are balanced, hearty, and delicious. Let us make the meals, and don't you worry about the dishes. So take us home to your family. Who's to say you can't buy love? Just take a bite of a good sense of good sense. Good sense makes good sense.
Kelsey open inside the 40, breaks a tackle and down at the 30-yard line. Timeout, Kansas City, 3 seconds to go.
If it's Chiefs, it's right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
The kick is on its way for Butker. It is good. We're going to overtime.
Your exclusive home for the AFC and NFC Championship games and Super Bowl 56. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Do you really want to go through another year with that awful joint pain? Don't do it. Resolve right now to get yourself moving again for 2022. Hey, this is Stephen St. John. It's time to call QC Kinetics, non-surgical regenerative treatments for joint pain. We're talking lasting results using natural biologics. No surgery, no pain meds, no steroids, and no downtime. This is really exciting stuff. Regenerative restorative treatments that actually encourage your body to heal itself using highly concentrated natural biologics. Patients rave about it for hip pain relief, knee pain relief, shoulder and back pain relief. Don't let them keep giving you steroids. And don't let them tell you surgery is your only option. Get a free second opinion at QC Kinetics and imagine life in 2022 without pain. Locations in Gladstone and off 435 and State Line. Call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics now. 816-412-6299. QC Kinetics.
The Chiefs will host their 4th straight AFC Championship game.
As the Chiefs get set to take on Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC Championship game. Keep it on Sports Radio 810 for all the latest.
The Chiefs and the Bengals play for a trip to the Super Bowl.
Your exclusive home for the AFC and NFC Championship games and Super Bowl 56. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
You're listening to the most powerful sports station in the country. Sports Radio 810, WHB Kansas City, the power of sports.
This is Sports Center.
Philadelphia off the Phoenix Suns. They're taking on the Utah Jazz tonight. That's an ESPN television doubleheader. Suns and the Jazz, the nightcap. Phoenix 37-9, Utah 30-18. Miami, meanwhile, they're at home to the New York Knicks. Game 1 of the TV doubleheader. Miami's up 13 at the break, doing work against the Knicks, 59-46. The Heat are 30-17 on the season. Best record in the Eastern Conference by percentage points. They're tied with the Bulls in a loss column. Chicago enters the night 29-17. Bulls are 52-41 advantage over the Toronto Raptors. 3:26 to go, quarter number 1. Brooklyn tonight is at home to the Denver Nuggets. Second night of a back-to-back. They got thumped by the Lakers last night. Tonight, no Kevin Durant. We knew that anyway. He's still missing in action because he's got the injury. Out till after the All-Star break. Kyrie Irving, meanwhile, not playing in home games because he can't. Not allowed to. So all you had was James Harden. Well, tonight, he's not even playing. But the Nets, you have a 57-52 lead over the Denver Nuggets in the second quarter. James Harden's got the night off. Give some rest to his ailing hamstring. Memphis 32-17 on the season. They're on the road visiting San Antonio. Grizzlies have a 9-point advantage, 26-17 in the opening quarter. Chris Mack officially out as the head coach of Louisville. Team, both sides have agreed on a contract buyout.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Sean Payton is stepping away from the Saints. He's going to take a year off and figure out what the next best job is.
This and more, Thursday, starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
One thing I haven't yet talked about is the fact that Nazis are back.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Sad fans on Reddit in just a minute. A couple things from Twitch. Aspen very correctly says, never get emotionally attached to the idea of hearing audio on this show. That is absolutely true. And then Iced Pyro said that Xbox Game Pass on the Microsoft Surface, which I'd forgotten about, despite those commercials that do air pretty frequently during football games. That is a good point. I will look into that. S. Wallaby also makes the point that Retro Bowl is essentially franchise mode, and that really is it. It's just that, like, even just basically little Tecmo Bowl style little pixel art guys, if I can sign players and go through a draft and trade players and pick contracts, I'm happy. That is my...
Speaking of which, I saw
my little thing.
And now this is not the guy who did the Tecmo.
Is this the video?
Thing, so different. So
I was going to mention this literally right now. We spent too much time together. This is the same thing.
I'm talking about something slightly different.
I am too.
I bring this up. So
is this the video of Chiefs Bills?
Not the video.
Okay.
So
people should watch. Can I say that real quick? That people should go watch that. A guy made a video of Chiefs Bills, the final 2 minutes in overtime in Tecmo Bowl style, It's like a 2-minute video. It's so sweet. Go ahead, different thing.
I brought that up because it's similar to this, but it's a different thing. Somebody made a Stephen St. John retweeted this out
Stephen also retweeted the video that I
know, which this is partly why I was thinking this is a different thing.
Barely different.
It was a pixel art of Mahomes wearing a Grim Reaper costume. The guy who made that is the artist for Retro Bowl. He did all the art for Retro Bowl. Because I ended up clicking on his Twitter, and his Twitter bio says artist for Retro Bowl.
All right, so you, me, and Steven definitely have a football pixel art just shared. I was gonna say shared interest.
Same thing. Tomato.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. I guess that is.
You say tomato, I say throw it in my face.
All right, well, I'll just do sad fans because at the very least it'll give me a couple of minutes to collect my thoughts. If you're new to the show, here's the gist of sad fans on Reddit. During the game, fans of opposing teams get very sad or excited or sad again. And in this case, they did all of those things a lot, and I am very interested to hear how it went. But then Beards McFly, formerly the producer of Almost Entirely Sports, who then has ascended to the astral plane.
Descended, some would say.
Some would say. Many are saying. And Beards still occasionally with a Ouija board and, some...
I don't think he uses a Ouija board.
Well, no, we use the Ouija board, and he has to then, transmit the message back. You can, NASA has heard, audio from outer space.
I guess he would use the Ouija board. We put our hands on it to move it around, then his astral form puts its hands on our hands.
Right.
Very Patrick Swayze, Ghost.
Exactly.
Is that what that movie's called? I think it's Ghost.
Yeah, I think
something
so.
like that. I just know people like it when Patrick Swayze is a ghost and he helps. I'm just gonna say Susan Sarandon because I forget who.
Literally no idea.
Make a clay pot.
We can ask Kent about that later. Remember, he's old.
He is old.
So it's like that, and then Beard spells out his favorite comments from the Reddit threads, from the opposing team's game threads, and then we have to put it all in a very complicated AI that we have used to mimic Beards' voice.
Ice Pyro says R.I.P. in peace.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Respectfully. I appreciate that. I'm sure Beards would as well, if he could hear us from down below. I don't know what his reception
very
is
far
like
down below.
Down there, yeah. But through that very laborious process, which had to be nothing but more confusing to the people I said I was talking to, which is people who are new to the show, that some of the lore is just...
I got this.
You can't step into Game of Thrones in Season 4. You're going to be confused about some things.
So all those texts you sent to your friend when the Chiefs were losing? Mm-hmm. This is just that, but Beard speaks them out loud.
Yeah, and don't worry about the whole astral plane stuff. That... you can get up to speed with that over time. You need something like that explained to you, watch the show on Twitch, and then the Twitch viewers will they have a very good working knowledge of the Almost Entirely Sports ARG that apparently we've been running, the AES ARG, if you will. Without further ado, further stalling or further confusion, here is Sad Fans on Reddit, Buffalo Bills edition.
Attack.
Well, and sometimes, whenever you're trying to communicate through, whenever you're trying to communicate through the very fabric of space and time,
connections aren't always clear.
Heaven, hell, and purgatory.
It
happens.
Don't know which one I'm going to go to after all this, but we'll see.
I know which one I'm in right now.
Heaven?
One of the other two. I should have said I would know which one I'm not in right now.
Heaven.
Correct.
Got it in 2.
Let's see if you get it in 2 this time. Here's Sad Fans on Reddit. Buffalo Bills edition. Nailed it.
And now, a list of things that Buffalo Bills fans said on Reddit after being up 3 with 13 seconds to go and then losing. Will we ever be happy? Well, Josh Allen, though, have my babies. Nothing new with this organization, literally breaking the city of Buffalo's heart since 1991. Who the hell calls tails?
Tails
Me.
never fail.
What a game, but me. Leslie Frazier should be fired before they leave the stadium, and every player on defense should apologize to Allen, come home and apologize to every Bills fan, then retire in shame. Tremaine Edmonds is a f***ing moron. Comment. F***ing tails. Reply. Correction. F***ing defense. It's always us. I'm devastated, boys. Josh won the game for us twice. It's so f***ed. 13 seconds. I can't even get it off in 13 seconds. That's how fast that is, and we couldn't hold them off for that.
Really
Sorensen drinks his
crazy.
own pee. 13 seconds will be the new 28-3. God damn. It's unfortunate that Mike McCarthy wasn't on the other sideline and they still had 3 timeouts left. Believe the defense in Kansas City. Coaching collapse and an all-time stinger from the D let these boys down. Holy f***. Mahomes is a great quarterback, but he's a baby. Allen is a leader and a beacon for this team and fan base.
Baby?
I just want to give him a cuddle and buy him a beer. Is that weird? Comment. I need to take a mental health day tomorrow. Reply. I might need a month. LOL.
Yeah.
Cowboys couldn't even line up in 13 seconds. Meanwhile, the Chiefs marched down the field and get a field goal.
That is crazy to think
If
about.
the Bills squib kick this and finish the job, Josh Allen is being remembered for one of the greatest 1-minute drives to win a game. Instead, the Bills hand one over to the Chiefs, and everyone heaps accolades on Mahomes.
Correct.
No, instead Mahomes is going to be remembered for the
coin
greatest
is going to the
13-second drive.
AFC Championship game.
I hope
The
so.
NFL overtime rules. All my homies hate the NFL overtime rules. In the history of sports, has a defense ever choked that badly? Open field tackles were nearly non-existent. I can't even be mad at Kansas City. We were just abysmal at tackling.
2018 Chiefs.
Is there a single defensive coordinator who isn't a complete idiot at the end of these games?
It's almost like
Comment.
that's not what's
Does
happening.
God hate us?
Yes.
Reply. No, he just doesn't know we exist. My girlfriend, a new
Even
Bills
worse.
bandwagoner. This shit, they only won because of a coin toss. Edit. My girlfriend, through tears, just a few minutes later. How do people watch this every year? This f***ing hurts. I know I'm supposed to be taking solace in what a great game that was and how they'll be back or whatever. But all I can think of is if that game from that player isn't enough, when will it ever be enough?
It's true.
And now, the bronze medal. I work at Allstate, so if any Bengals fans in Michigan want to leave State Farm, shoot me a message. Kansas City. And now, the silver medal.
That's a good comment.
It is.
Dear Josh Allen, it was nothing personal. Sincerely, Satan. And now, the winner of things that Bills fans said on Reddit. Specifically, this comment said at 5:32 p.m. I swear, if this comes down to a field goal attempt with 4 seconds left, like every other game this weekend, I'm gonna have a god heart attack.
A good question here from Aspen on Twitch. There's a question that I was asking as soon as it started. Said, wait, is this only sad fans of the last 13 seconds? I believe that is exclusively comments of after the game basically ended. Or like basically after the game ended. And that is hilarious because the actual scope of excited to sad to excited to sad to excited to sad again must have been a lot. But just for the knowing the results and what happened at the end of the game, there's about 4 minutes of incredibly sad Buffalo Bills fans.
Very sad.
Maybe I'm not fully ready to look ahead to the Bengals. Maybe that starts next segment for
That's
us.
fine.
That seems reasonable, right? Another thing that, like, we talked about some yesterday, but I should probably stop apologizing for repeating myself. Statistically, those of you who hear like every single segment we do, you are a absolutely beloved psychotic minority, and I have to remember that.
I was going to say lunatic, yeah.
Absolute, the lunatic fringe, no question. And I am so grateful for you. But also, I got to remember, absolutely.
A lunatic, a crazy person,
yes,
unhealthy,
yes.
You're one of us,
yes. But I gotta stop apologizing for saying things that I've loosely alluded to 23 hours earlier. You heard it in there from Bills fans because they know too. And this is where the Chiefs are at right now for everybody else. And I really do think, and there will be grasping at straw contrarians on this for the rest of time because that's how it always works. Just throughout like media, I mean. National media will always have a contrarian on this. But I really do think that for the most part, we have now crossed the threshold of the Chiefs being the thing that feel just about unbeatable, even whenever they do get beat. The Patriots didn't win a Super Bowl for a decade. And still, every time you watch them play, you expected them to win. And not only do we know that here, something we've known, I think, at least a little bit over these last couple of years, everybody else knows it too. The comment in that sad fans of a Bills fan saying, I don't know, guys, it's just that performance from that quarterback still not being enough to beat that stupid team over there is a level of dread that you might remember from the Patriots. But even then, the Chiefs didn't have Josh Allen. They didn't have the Josh Allen equivalent. They didn't have what I think is going to end up being the Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert. For the vast majority of that time, they were playing with genuinely ungood football teams.
The Chiefs are the thing that go bump in the night now.
Yeah.
Like they really like it, it's a kind of a cliched saying or whatever, but like it's true. Like that's what they are.
They're the boogeyman now.
They're the thing that you fear, and all you hope for is if you're the Bills of Josh Allen or the Bengals of Joe Burrow, is obviously you want to make the playoffs, and you just hope that when you do have to play the Chiefs, it's as far away as possible.
Yep.
Because you're just hoping they slip up along the way. Because they will, right? Like the Chiefs, I feel like I can confidently say Patrick Mahomes will lose a playoff game before the AFC Championship. He won't get there every year. Now, that may seem crazy because so far he has. He probably won't 1 year, maybe 2. I'm not going to go past that. And you're just hoping that you don't have to face them. Like that will be your year, right? Like that, if you're the Bills, your hope that's just what you're hoping for.
Your hope, I think you can hope for two things. You can hope for someone else to take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they'll slip up somewhere else, like you said. Or you can hope that you just flatly play your best football game imaginable and get lucky.
Except the Bills came pretty close to that.
That's what I'm saying. It is a two-parter of you have to playing your best football game for just about any two teams in football. And I mean this for literally the Jags and the Bills, because they did this earlier in the year. And the Bills didn't play, the Jags didn't play a perfect game, but by any means. But if any one of 32 NFL teams plays their best reasonably possible game in a given week, they would beat anybody else's average game most of the time. I really do believe that. The Lions playing some really a good stretch, not a perfect game, but a game to near the height of their capabilities, beat the Vikings, who everyone would agree was a better team last year, but the Vikings put out an average effort. The Lions put out a pretty good one. The Lions win that game. You should never be surprised when that happens. Except with the Chiefs. because your best game isn't enough. Because their capacity for being overwhelming is literally the thing now at the end of the line. It is the thing you measure yourself against. That's ridiculous. Oh, obviously, only one team can occupy that space at a time. The Patriots occupied it for the better part of 15 years. And the Chiefs have it right now. I think everyone knows it, even when people will inevitably say they'd still rather have Josh Allen than Patrick Mahomes because they got to say the thing. Or Justin Herbert, or Joe Burrow, or Lamar Jackson, or Mac Jones. Someone at some point. You can remember this, everyone listening right now, I'm going to let you do the hard work for me because I'm not going to keep an eye on this because it would require me paying attention to people that I don't really want to pay attention to. At some point next year, someone somewhere on Twitter or on FS1, and on definitely one of those two places.
Speak to yourself.
That's what that show should be called. That's pretty funny, actually.
Thank you.
Someone somewhere will say, the rationalization might be the rookie contract. It might be the supporting cast. I don't know what it'll be, but there will be a thought that ends with somebody somewhere saying they'd rather have Mac Jones than Patrick Mahomes. Maybe it's for one game, maybe it's for the year, maybe it's for all of time, but someone somewhere's gonna say that.
It's gonna be if Bill Belichick is your coach and your team is built around the defense,
they'll find a way.
And
yes,
and you didn't really have receivers, then you would want Mac Jones because he's really good at handing the football off. And it's snowing 4 feet of snow.
If you're the Patriots and you've built your team this way, you're the Patriots. I'm just gonna say it. I think I'm working into a Colin Cowherd impression here. I didn't know that I was channeling Skip Bayless, but I think I'm doing a Cowherd. Look, and I'll just say it. If you're the New England Patriots, this isn't gonna be very popular. If you're the New England Patriots, build the way you are, with the head coach you have, you want to have Patrick Mahomes running around out there freelancing all the time? Come on! It's like being a parent. Whenever you're a parent, sometimes you have situations where you'd rather have one kid than the other. I love them both the same. I love both of my children. But when it comes down to it, you'd rather have Mac Jones in that spot. It's the hurt. Did that feel like listening to the herd in the future? That's what it felt like to me. I feel like I nailed it. I was afraid that it wasn't actually going to land, and then I remembered that I had the punctuation cheat code of, it's with her. That's the sign-off. It's with her.
Anywho, I love Drew Brees.
I'm not going to say it. What are we talking about? It's me, Greeny. Whoa, what? What happened?
Anywho, I love Drew Brees.
I can't remember. You know what's happened? Funnily enough, can't remember the context of that clip anymore.
I think he liked Drew Brees' whips.
I think you're mixing a couple of
context.
I think you're mixing a couple of clips.
I think I nailed it.
Well, you're gonna get that take somewhere from someone, and if it's not Mac Jones, it's gonna be like Jalen Hurts, or it'll definitely happen with Justin Herbert, right? Like people just aren't gonna learn. They're not going to learn from the things they have seen and said and watched and learned from. They're not going to actually download that information and use it properly. It's simply never going to happen. Because it gets boring day after day to talk about the exact same thing over and over again.
Sometimes he'll text me. He'll text me pictures of a play.
That was Colin Cowherd talking about Andy Reid, right?
Nailed it. Sometimes Andy Reid will text him. Just send him pictures.
I don't think anybody ever asked Andy Reid about it, and I understand. It's a hard question to ask in a presser.
Should we ask now?
You have Andy Reid on the line?
January 26, 2021. A full, whoa! I did not plan that out.
Wow,
It is January 26, 2021. 22.
It sure is. Wow.
Year anniversary of Colin Cowherd talking about how Andy Reid sends him pictures.
Yeah. If you have the full clip there. Yeah. We might. How long is it? It's not
20 seconds.
That's great. Let's hear this.
You've known Andy Reid a long time. It is. He may be we said this yesterday, Joy and I did. He may be the easiest person in the NFL to root for.
True.
Sometimes he'll text me. He'll text me pictures of a play. He's like, "Hey, look at this play I just did, Cowherd." And obviously, I'm deleted. I'm not going to send it to anybody.
Look at this play I just did, Cowherd.
Two things.
I like the thing when Andy Reid sends him a text message of like saying his name. He doesn't spell Cowherd. He says
he calls him a coward.
He's like, look at this play, Cowherd. He's like, oh, sorry, autocorrect, and then he just snickers, behind. It's like, I got him.
Two things. One, I really have to stop saying that we talked about something yesterday because Colin Cowherd did it in that clip. Joy and I were talking about this yesterday. The other thing, I may have said this the first time. I just did it again. But you know how I know that clip is insane? Like, just absolutely ludicrous.
Because Andy Reid doesn't talk like that.
Even outside of that. Because he could be paraphrasing on somebody,
Sure.
right?
Fair.
Cowherd says, not completely unprompted, he goes, before anyone could ever ask this question of him, he says, well, I delete it, I'm not going to share it with anybody or anything. Colin, it's not, you don't have to delete it. It's just, if it's a text message, it just sits there. There's no way that you are getting those texts of plays from Andy Reid. And you're not even just saying, I don't save them. Or just saying nothing, because we all assume that you would not tweet out a play that Andy Reid had just drawn up, because I have a feeling that those texts would stop coming. But before anyone has a chance to ask a follow-up question, he says, yeah, I have a girlfriend. Yeah, she goes to a different school. She lives in Canada. She can't come down right now. But she's great. She
normally could, but, it's the pandemic. They're not really letting people come across the border. It's a thing.
But she texts me all the time.
They built a wall up there.
She texts me and she says, Colin! That's also the extent of that side of my Colin Cowherd impression range.
Anywho, I love Drew Brees.
I wish she loved me as much as she loves Drew Brees. You know what I'm saying? Yes, sir. It is so funny to me that the monster living in the closet of the entire NFL plays football here. And not that, this couldn't be the home for the boogeyman of the NFL, but specifically the context of how many times the Chiefs were just looking for. We remember competent quarterbacks so fondly. Trent Green is a legend. Alex Smith at this point has more has more disciples than he does critics at this point, largely because of the fact that Patrick Mahomes has been this dude.
He's also getting pretty good at he's done the ESPN Daily every Monday.
Yeah.
First week he was on, a little boring. He's getting pretty good at it. Pretty entertaining.
I genuinely think that I have gotten to the point where I want people to remember the good times with Matt Castle.
There were only good times, Josh.
I would rather people remember that than remember the negatives.
Do you not remember when Charlie Weiss was the offensive coordinator? Because I sure do. Here's the thing: we can make that noise because we saw what he did at KU, but also that offense was the best offense we had seen in like a decade. The 1 year he was the OC, and then Todd Haley ran him out.
What a wild!
Matt Castle went to a Pro Bowl. Dwayne Bowe had 18 touchdown catches that year.
Did.
And Todd Haley was like, "Nah, man, you're taking too much of my heat, my thunder. Get out of here."
Did Todd Haley turn into Steve Spagnuolo just then?
Yeah.
Obviously, I remember the Charlie Weiss era. Now that
Fondly.
you say it. But I haven't thought about it in a little while.
There was a year where
What a
Scott
time.
Pioli was just like, you know what? You know who I want to be my OC? Charlie Weiss.
It was Charlie Rice and Romeo Crennel.
You know who I want to be my DC?
Yeah.
Well, bring it back, baby.
Yeah.
And you know why?
It's good stuff.
You know why he wanted them? Because those guys were winners. They didn't rely on analytics. They were winners.
By the way, I got plenty of whips at home that don't have anything to do with baseball. Anywho, I like winning.
I bet Todd Haley has a lot of whips.
I just think you legally shouldn't be allowed to deliver a joke that poorly if it was clearly written by someone else. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so bleeping telegraphed. You just gotta be better.
I love that in all of his bits, he ends it with, Anywho. I like blank.
I like or love this particular thing.
Blank.
I love winning. I love Drew Brees. I like whips that I have at home that have nothing to do with baseball. I say a lot of whips.
A lot of whips.
Does Colin Cowherd need a lot of whips?
By the way, I got plenty of whips at home that don't have anything to do with baseball. Anywho, I like winning.
Plenty of them.
How many is that?
I mean, plenty. However many you think however many whips you think Colin Cowherd needs, he got it.
I would like to know.
And then I would also say he's got an extra one or two. I would say if you have plenty, you have at least like two more than you actually need.
First of all, Ice Pyro says, I remember being bummed that Kyle Orton didn't stay. And that is
Love
the comment
Kyle
I would end this entire show on right now if I could. If I could only put Colin Cowherd on a lie detector test for one question, I would not ask him if Andy Reid has actually texted him pictures of plays he has drawn. I would ask him how many whips he owns that, quote, have nothing to do with baseball. Just so I can know without a shadow of a doubt that the answer is zero, and that clip can't haunt me.
It's definitely more than zero because he has plenty.
But if I subscribe to the idea that plenty is at least a couple more than you need.
Yeah.
Unless that number is zero.
If the number
if
zero,
you need zero is plenty.
You don't say plenty though. Plenty is not in the dialogue. You're like, I don't need whips. So I don't have any whips. If you're like, oh, I got whips at home, I got plenty of them. I got extras. One breaks, another one's ready to step right in. One man up, one man down.
You know, we're very self-aware around here of the fact that we don't play all the audio that we cut and the audio that we promise we're going to play.
I have played like 6 audio clips this segment alone, so I've done my job.
We don't always play all the press conference audio that I tease us potentially playing.
Ice Pyro says 50 Shades of Coward.
But here's how you can know that I will promise you that we're going to play audio and that we are going to play the audio. Because we're going to take a break. And we're either going to play press conference audio from today, even if it's just one clip that gets us going. We're either going to play one of those, or we're going to be forced to spend another 15 minutes talking about the contents of Colin Cowherd's sex dungeon. And I simply will not be forced to have that conversation for even another nanosecond. We'll talk about something Chiefs-Bengals related, anything else whenever we come back.
Take the show with you wherever you go. Listen live on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app and 810 W8. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Seahawks-Ravens, not happening. Ravens-Eagles. Love this game, love this matchup. Could be an interesting quarterback situation, and Earl Thomas gets to play in the city of brotherly love.
Anywho, I love Drew Brees.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Absolutely no chance I'm getting dragged screaming back down that rabbit hole. So we'll bring you a couple of pieces of audio from the press conferences today as we do a little more looking ahead to Chiefs-Bengals now as opposed to looking back at the incredible fireworks show that was Chiefs-Bills. And just, we'll enjoy that forever. But we should right now talk about this Bengals game very soon. Because the first couple of clips here I want you to hear today are looking back largely at the excellence that was put on the field against Buffalo and ultimately, the excellence that's going to be required to beat the Bengals. Obviously, there's a lot of different ways we can look at Chiefs-Bengals. We'll talk about that plenty. But a couple things here from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes today around something that we talked to Seth Kaiser about yesterday and that we've been talking about around here for a while. With Patrick Mahomes being an absolute shining star, the sun in the middle of Arrowhead Stadium, it becomes easy to make him be the thing that you spend the first 20 minutes of your day talking about no matter what. And really, the trifecta of Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Tyreek Hill, I think is unmatched, period. In professional football, I can't think of a trio that I would take over them.
The only thing that pops in my head might have been, and it's not the exact same because I'm thinking more quarterback, 2 wide receivers, but Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne was obviously, that's 3 Hall of Famers, but again, that's not. And,
2 pass catchers, though. Yeah. You can do whatever you want with that.
If you threw in Dallas Clark, he's a great tight end, but he's not Travis Kelce tight end. But that's the only, Brady, Moss, Welker at that time was pretty good, but Welker wasn't quite what any of those other receivers were, right? Moss obviously was absurd.
Right.
Wes Welker was great. Just I wouldn't put him quite in the he's not a Hall of Famer, right? Like all those other guys are Hall of Famers or future Hall of Famers. Wes Welker's in the Hall of really good players. That might be it.
Tony Gonzalez, Dwayne Bowe, Brody Croyle?
No, that's the best.
Maybe Hill, Kelce, Mahomes might not even be the best trio in Chiefs history.
I was just trying to think of other trios, and this one's not close, and part of this just might be the era. But 3 Hall of Famers, obviously, you think of back in the '70s, it was Bradshaw, Lynn Stallworth, and I forget their other receivers.
I wasn't gonna try. I was gonna.
Maybe it was Lynn and Stallworth.
I was gonna acknowledge the Cowboys.
They had 2 Hall of Fame receivers, but again, you look and this. I don't even mean this as a shrug on Terry Bradshaw. The NFL was different back then, right? Mm-hmm. Patrick Mahomes is about to eclipse a lot of Terry Bradshaw's career numbers because it's just. Football's different.
Speaking of the Cowboys, has anyone looked to see if he's doing anything around those Troy Aikman numbers at all? Has anyone mentioned? Anyone just done a cursory Google of Patrick Mahomes, Troy Aikman, just to compare any stats?
I weirdly did the other day, not on purpose.
You must have been the first one to do it then.
Yeah, not on purpose. I was just curious where Mahomes. I was just looking at Mahomes' career standings and touchdown passes wise. I wish I could remember the exact number on the top of my head. I believe he's 16 touchdown passes fewer than Troy Aikman for his career.
Yeah, talk to me whenever he has 33% of his rings, though.
He does, though.
Yeah, well, Troy still hasn't talked to me about it, so in my personal record book.
Not yet, he has.
Mahomes has 32%. I'm rounding down.
To be fair, he said 33%, and Mahomes is at 33.3333 infinity. So, he's exceeded the 33, so he'll never have to talk to you.
Dang loopholes.
It's all about loopholes in life, buddy.
Here's Andy Reid talking about that trio the Chiefs have that is genuinely unprecedented, and Andy Reid knows that group of guys, that trio of talent, does not come around very often.
Yeah, it's special. I mean, they all 3 of them trust each other, and that's important. They kind of have that innate ability to know where the guy's going to be against whatever leverage the defender has on him. I appreciate that, and it's a fluid game, so you're going to have to make adjustments. You're going to have to do it with routes where you have to. It's not going to be perfect, like you might see with a card that you've drawn up, and the other team's playing too, and so you have to maneuver around, and it sure helps to have that chemistry when teams are showing you a bunch of different looks.
that part of it, and we, again, Joy and I talked about this yesterday. We talked about this yesterday. Sorry. That play, the two plays that we got the footage from of Travis Kelce going to Tyreek Hill and giving him a note, and then going to Patrick Mahomes and giving him a note, and then Travis Kelce, Mahomes telling Travis Kelce to do the thing they had talked about in the cadence is an incredible thing.
One of the things too, I've thought about this. I may be making something out of completely nothing, and they may have you watch the video clips and you honestly don't even necessarily see Tyreek or Mahomes in the moment say something, because I think there is just this innate, just like one of them. If one of those three speaks, you don't question it at all. There is no, you don't even need to talk about it. You just file it away because it's just the trust that you have in the other people. You're just like, oh yeah, like he's spot on. Like, I don't need to question this. I don't need to be like, okay, what are you seeing to suggest this? Just nope, he's right. He's got this.
The implication is that no matter what, Mahomes will take that information, download it, see what the defense gives him, and then make the call. And at that point, even, what would Mahomes have said if he thought it wasn't what Kelce was looking for? I don't know, but I think at that point you also trust him to read that precisely.
The trust those three have in each other is it's absurd. I mean, and we've seen it from so many different ways. So, right, it's sometimes when Mahomes just throwing the ball, right? They're running the route they're supposed to run, but it's just Mahomes is throwing the ball before the route's even really been ran because he just knows they're going to be there.
It's funny you say that, Rudy, because Patrick Mahomes actually talked about that today, believe it or not.
I didn't actually listen to pressers today.
Believe it or not, it's actually a great segue. It's actually a fabulous segue. Because, Patrick Mahomes is aware of the fact that what he and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce do is clearly exceptional, but there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah, I mean, it just takes a lot of reps, just going out there and seeing a lot of different coverages. The good thing about being in this offense with these guys that we have is we've seen pretty much every single coverage you could possibly see. And so if guys have seen those, they recognize those on the field, and they know how to get themselves open within the system of the offense. And I think that's what you see. I mean, even on the play to Travis, he knew what the other guys had on the play, so he knew he could do that. He could go down the seam and get the catch. And you have to be able to not only know what you have, but everybody else in the entire offense has. And that just comes with guys that learn the offense and run it the right way.
There's a difference between coming into this offense and being able to do something every once in a while. Josh Gordon scored a touchdown on a play that was designed to be a touchdown for Josh Gordon. Travis Kelce threw a touchdown to Byron Pringle on a play that was designed for Travis Kelce to throw to Byron Pringle. There are places where you could have an athlete of incredible talent step into the offense and do something for this team. This is something I remember them talking about. I think it was before Chiefs-Titans in the AFC Championship game 3 years ago, right? Not last year's AFC Championship game, but one prior, obviously, Titans game, where Kelce talked about this some then, and it has stuck with me because I remember talking about it on the show of like, hey, do you guys realize what they're doing on a pretty regular basis? And I remember, I probably should let this go, but I remember like somebody tweeting like, you mean that they fund the empty spot in his own defense? Like you don't do that at the high school level? Come on. And yeah, man, I do not mean that.
Also, like half the starting quarterbacks in the NFL are bad at finding the open spots in zones.
This is the thing. None of this is as simple as you could boil down anything in the world to its most simple components and make somebody sound really dumb for making that something they actually work on, right? Like, oh, you go on the radio and you talk about sports, you must be so tired. Like, well, yeah, like yes, like correct,
yes.
But you can say, oh, yeah, so I mean, they're looking at what the defense is showing them at the front end, and then adjusting off of that. The number of moving parts, the language fluency of the offense, not in terms of just like the play calls, but in terms of what you are seeing and translating that into what you should be doing, but also trying to keep in mind what you've been studying all bleeping week long about what the defense wants to show and then will ultimately show you in its true form instead of whatever it's disguising for you, in terms of showing you Here are the matchups we want to exploit, or how an offense can find matchups it wants to take. Think about Cornell Powell. Now, look, that draft pick was off to a bad start because he wasn't even on the active roster after original cutdowns. He made it to the practice squad. He's been on the practice squad all year long. You have not heard from him. Reese Fountain got the call up. Josh Gordon got cut out of the practice squad. Cornell Powell's not touching the ball, has not touched the ball in a meaning, and he has not been on the active roster, not even a healthy scratch. He has not been on the 53 at any point this year. That is not a shot at Cornell Powell. It's not a great sign that he couldn't get himself a package of plays, right? But whenever you are a rookie receiver coming out of Clemson, like a real offense, but a college offense into this one where Patrick Mahomes demands things and Andy Reid demands things, the offense demands things. This isn't about any of those guys in particular, really. The offense demands an understanding not just of the Chiefs' offense and the Chiefs' playbook, but also of NFL defenses changing every week with the opponent. That is a very difficult thing to do, which I think is only accentuated whenever you see people actually pull it off. Whenever you see Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes being on the same page that way, and Mahomes talking about how just the sheer number of reps are an absolute requirement in being able to pull that kind of thing off. We do players a disservice, coaches the entire sport a disservice whenever you talk about a guy coming in and learning the playbook. Whenever you see Patrick Mahomes like yelling at McCole Hardman after a route breaks one way or the other, whenever you see that whole interaction happening, everybody finds out pretty quickly, pretty easily, well, that was on McCole there. Mahomes didn't miss the shot. Hardman did something that Mahomes wasn't expecting. I think a lot of people still download that as, oh, he called a post over to breaking in, and he just ran a 9 route. That's not what's happening there. It's not that guys don't know the route tree or whatever, right? This isn't about, do you know what? This might have varied tremendously from person to person, but like what number correlates to a different route? You can learn that pretty quickly. It is knowing what to do after the play's been called, sometimes before the play has been snapped, and then again after the ball has been snapped. At the top of your route, what will you do?
And then also remember, you
have to get it on the same page with Mahomes. Not just what you can't just make what you think is the right call. You have to make the right call that is also the call the quarterback is making.
And you're doing it in literally like 1 second. You
were
processing all this.
Less.
You were processing all this information.
Yep.
Within a second.
Yep.
I remember I actually heard the story just the other day, and it actually applies because we're about to see the quarterback. Joe Burrow, like if you go back and like look at his first year at LSU. It was not impressive. Like Joe Burrow did not look like an NFL quarterback at all his first year at LSU. And then that offseason, like Ed Orgeron talked about this. He made an admission, I'm going to throw 10,000 passes to every one of my receivers. Jamar Chase, that was Justin Jefferson. And then you look at them that next year, right? And like part of that is Joe Burrow was obviously a very talented quarterback and he just developed his talent. But a large part of that too is all of a sudden he also had these wildly talented receivers. I mean, Look at who he was literally throwing to the two of the best young receivers in the NFL, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. But like they knew what each other were thinking because he threw so many freaking passes to him in an offseason, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure they didn't have it quite as down as Mahomes, Kelce, Hill because they weren't together as long, right? They were less experienced football players. But at the college level, like that's pretty much they were doing very similar things because they had it. They had all that down from the years and the thousands and thousands and thousands of passes thrown in practice.
In the Twitch chat, OU_SAS, which is Andrew. And I don't know if it's OU SAS or OU SAS.
SAS.
Oklahoma's own Stephen A. Smith.
OU SAS.
Said about Colin Cowherd, he's actually a big Indiana Jones fan and collects movie props. And then Aspen said, but does he have a Rosa Parks autographed membership card?
I think we know where his whips come from.
I think that might have been a pure joke about the Indiana Jones thing, Rudy. I think that might not have actually been true.
I think it might be true.
I think that might have been a joke.
But the whips.
I wanted to bring this back around to making fun of Darren Rovell is what I wanted to do. But
you can do that. He did something actually the other day.
Yeah, with Dan Lust and them. It was a little Darren versus Darren.
There was he had a dumb tweet. Oh,
really? Are you sure?
He tweeted out that the Rams are going to be the first team to have the chance to be the first team to play in their home stadium for the Super Bowl.
I mentioned this to Rudy last night after the show that I should tweet this out, and I haven't yet, so here it is for free. The Chiefs have a chance to be the first and second team to ever play a Super Bowl in the opposing team's home stadium.
Yeah.
In back-to-back years.
The Rams are going to be the first to play in their own stadium somehow. I don't know how that works out.
I'm starting to wonder if Darren Rovell has all his facts straight.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Congratulations. Take that W. Straight to hell.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I finally put the poll question out on Twitter just during this break. Choose your franchise, Putt Putt, Freddie Fish, Spy Fox, Pajama Sam. And I said earlier, Joy and I talked yesterday. I said earlier, I just hope that would bring out some real knockdown, drag-out fights about a children's game. First response. Matt Derrick. I am a putt-putt man until I die. I don't even know what the other things are. Yes!
Do you think he's talking about putt-putt like the golfing game? Maybe he doesn't realize putt-putt's a purple car?
Yeah, Rudy, I am wondering now.
I think that might be the case.
I'm wondering if Matt doesn't know. Well, I'll tweet him back. We'll circle back on that. It does seem like he might have been a little old for that at that point. I'm not really sure. That really did throw me off my game there, Rudy, but either way, it's pretty funny. Hey, Kent Swanson, Tucker Franklin in studio together next.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco. You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
I've been a Chiefs fan now, and I've for my entire short life, and I haven't seen any quarterbacks that are out here ready to go rock a jeans commercial. I want Patrick Mahomes to have the ability to go absolutely crush a commercial selling denim. I want that for my quarterback.
With Joshua Brisco.
What are they going to do with his voice? It's Pat Mahomes with Lee Jeans here.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I don't really know how this segment of this show is going to go, but I figure we might as well try it. Kid Swanson, Tucker Franklin, in studio with me and Rudy Salazar. Hey, guys. Is this going to go well, you think?
I don't know.
How do you think this is going to go?
We'll find out.
I think it's going to go phenomenal.
I'm really glad that you guys feel that way. I'm glad that 2/3 of us here are in this room are very optimistic. Rudy, I can't read the expression on his face currently. So we'll have to just power through with a little bit of mystery. You can of course catch all their work on KC Sports Network. KCSportsNetwork.com is a homepage for everything where you can also buy illegal T-shirts. Plus the KCSN.substack.com. That's the Substack. The YouTube channel. You can of course get all of Tucker's great TikToks on TikTok at Pikachu Mixtape.
Thank you.
And don't follow Kent on Twitter. You can follow Kent on Twitter at Tucker D. Franklin.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can follow Tucker on Twitter at Tucker D. Franklin. Boys, how you been?
Oh, the gap is closing between you and me on followers, buddy.
It's not that close. It's still a couple hundred.
It's a couple hundred, but I'm pacing well above where you're pacing right now, and I feel very good about it. So.
I'll get diabetes again or something. I have type 1 right now. I think I could probably get both, like a catch-em-all situation. I don't know. I'll figure it out.
You just need your dad to start tweeting about your status, and then that'll kind of just help drum up that interest.
Maybe I'll tweet about my own, my own sort of dissolving into absolute fabric of nothing.
It's a great idea. That's how you get them. Maybe I should start doing that.
Look, your brand is relatively well lined up at this point.
Time out. I want to hear your definition of Tucker's brand more than anything.
I want to hear that.
I'm very fascinated.
I don't know if I can do it in radio form because what it is actually is just that 2 seconds of TikTok of him just sort of humping the air with you perfectly behind him. That's Tucker's brand to me at this point. Whatever actual work he does, I'm not aware of, nor do I care about. What I care about, exactly what I care about is the Pikachu mixtape side of Tucker.
Yeah.
That's what's important to me.
I think that's really fair, and that's really what I'm trying to grow at this time.
It's what you're proudest of, for sure.
His priority is Pikachu mixtape on Twitter or on TikTok.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's your priorities right now.
I need to grab that handle on Twitter before someone steals it.
You really do. You got to make sure that's you do. Listen to me. I'm Tucker. We're cool young kids, and Kent's a grouchy old man.
It's funny because we were talking earlier today, and I've been encouraging Tucker to do kind of grown up stuff. Like maybe you should start investing. Maybe you should set up an IRA because your the best asset you have right now is time. And then you guys had a conversation where you're trying to talk him into buying a chain.
Yeah. So why don't you describe, Tucker, what this item of? Oh, have you bought it now since we talked about it earlier? Okay.
No, I haven't bought it.
Explain it.
My strategy is to become an influencer and it gets bought for me.
Right. Yes, this is it.
That's
you
my
get
plan.
It.
But the chain says TikTok on it, which was a name created by Kent, by the way.
Yep, you're welcome.
I do prefer that to Tuck Talk, by the way. I think TikTok is the winner.
There's been big debates on Twitter.
I saw
about
that.
It.
I voted for TikTok.
TikTok has been gaining traction recently. But
that sounds like the cousin of, you remember the putt-putt games?
Yep.
Where putt-putt goes to the zoo or goes to the moon or whatever? Tuck sounds like
the Tuck sound. That's also on I Think You Should Leave, by the way.
Right. Yep. No, but basically, it's just a chain of a jeweled out. It's not real jewels, obviously. It's fake.
Still tasteful. No, it's also
ShopGLD.com, not sponsored. That's where I was getting it from. Customized.
I think I bought fake grills from them in college.
That doesn't surprise me even a little bit.
Well, I need to get a new chain. This chain I'm wearing right now is a little tarnished, and also it's too long. It's like a 30-inch chain, so I have a tail on it.
Oh, wow.
And I always tuck it in. I always tuck in the tail because I only like my chains to be 22 inches at most.
Really? You're a little short chain guy.
I'm a short chain guy.
Now, Kent, what are you like in your jewelry? Because Tucker and I can talk about this all day.
I'm a no chain guy.
Now, could we change that for you?
I don't even wear a real ring. This is a rubber. This is an Andy Dalton rubber ring.
I noticed this earlier.
Yes.
Shout out to Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
Tucker is at least a chain man for sure. Obviously, I've got a lot of accessories.
You've got a lot of rings. Like you've always I cannot picture you without having at least like 4 rings on your hand.
Yeah, and I don't even necessarily know why that happened that way. But it's what I've got now, and now I just put them on. I'm wearing 4 today. Sometimes it's a 5-ring day. The entire reason I'm getting married is so I can add one to a finger that I wasn't legally allowed to wear a ring on previously.
I think you should probably take the rest of them off once you get married.
I think I'm going to take the rest of them off for the wedding, probably, so it's like, hey, there's one important ring today, and then they're all coming back, and at that point, I'm basically wearing brass knuckles 24/7.
Like, at this point, you're probably just gonna be spelling something out with your knuckles.
I was thinking about having my wedding band just have a big W on it, and so it's like Wordle, where the second to last letter is a W, but what am I gonna do with the rest of the knuckles? And I don't know yet.
I'm surprised you're not putting your Twitter handle on your engagement ring. Is honest, or on your wedding band.
It's not defined yet, so there's a real chance.
Not surprised if that happens.
This is a conversation I'd rather have with Tucker than you. Of course, Tucker, not married. You are, but as we've also discovered, your taste in jewelry sucks.
Because it doesn't exist.
Right. And so I really like, what pisses me off, Tucker?
What does?
Is that, do you know what man has the coolest wedding ring anywhere in my life by an easy layup?
Oh, wow. Who is it?
It's Beards.
No way.
No.
It was his grandpa's, and it is like gold on the top and silver on the bottom, and it's got a diamond in like the split of it that's kind of like off center. It is genuinely super cool, and of course ridiculous, because Beards' only accessory is a backwards Chiefs hat. And his beard, I guess.
It's very counterintuitive, because like him having any level of detail, considering like the only thing elite is chicken strips.
Exactly.
It's just like, it's just the juxtaposition is remarkable.
Coke, no ice.
So that is really upsetting to me, but so I at least have to get one that's cooler than that, because I can't be second place to Beards in a jewelry competition, right? Like, I think Beards even knows that. But I got some time to figure that out. You guys want to talk about football for like maybe 5 minutes tops?
I mean, we can if you want.
I just would like for both of you guys to yell about Chiefs-Bills for as long as you feel is necessary. I don't want to talk about the Bengals yet. I haven't gotten to talk to you guys about the fact that we saw, at the very least, the greatest 2 minutes of offensive football in sports history.
Ever.
If not the greatest 60, whatever it would have been, 3.5 minutes of football in offensive history. And I keep saying offensive because defense was certainly optional over the end of that game. But walk me through what you guys were feeling as that entire experience was happening.
Well, we were sitting at the Kingdom Bar and Grill in Overland Park, but just down the street here. We were hanging out, and like people were saying we had some people over there, just kind of a little private watch party, and people were saying goodbye with 13 seconds left. People were saying their goodbyes with 13 seconds left. And so, like, it was just funny that, I think emotionally we were all, like, I was sitting down ready to just kind of sit there and sulk for an hour on some of our shows and stuff.
Season's over.
Yeah, it just felt like it was over. And so just seeing how, the margin for error was minimal, 0, and them execute literally 2 plays perfectly, it was stunning.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and I've been talking the last couple of weeks, like, and I think specifically this week, it's like Mahomes, he's normalized so many things for all of us, historically, and in the last 4 years, like, he just normalized a lot of things, and so we've become numb, to moments like that, and in some ways, it takes, quote unquote, the greatest 2 minutes of offensive football for us to be surprised, and yet he continues to do it.
Yeah,
100%. So we again saw some of the most amazing moments that are being gifted to us as Chiefs fans,
right?
While people in the Northeast, in Buffalo, New York, are just miserable, sulking, and falling short for an entire season. And so, like, it's just, God, it was incredible. I'm never gonna be over it. And I don't think I'm continuing to rewatch it.
I hope no one is ever over it, because like you said, there are things that we have normalized watching Patrick Mahomes, because he does crazy things at a regular clip that makes it pretty easy to forget that we all watch some truly questionable quarterback play over the course of our lives.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, like this, I mean,
what?
There is such a fun watermark. There had to be something we had literally never seen before for us to be surprised again. And so... how often will we get those moments? I have no idea.
And like, how many places can he take it?
Right, yeah.
And I think that's what's so crazy. It's like Patrick Mahomes had to play a perfect game this last week, and he did. And it's like, there's not very many places for him to go, and like he's just like literally burned through an entire season, entire career story arc in 4 years, and he just continues to find ways to surprise us. And like, I don't understand it. I'm never gonna understand it, but there always is something there.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I know that I already started to rationalize the Chiefs losing. I was like, well, the Bills are pretty good. Like, that's a good football team. They can win the Super Bowl. I started rationalizing that, and, I'm in charge of getting the postgame show started. But there's a reason I hadn't started the postgame show left with 13 seconds
You
left.
had faith. Look at you.
I don't know if I would say I have faith. I'm a pretty pessimistic Chiefs fan of my nature. I think Josh knows that. Of just like everything's bad, and I think I prepare myself for the worst. But when the best happens, it feels that much sweeter.
You were like, Mahomes is broken. He has the worst mechanics in football.
Yeah. I was really Ryan Clark, is what I was. Yeah.
There's another guy we talked about earlier, actually, that was a different analyst that famously gave the other team 2 points in a way that he's tired of talking about.
But I think that was really, really kind of painful when you see the Chiefs. What were the Chiefs down by 3, and you knew that Harrison Butker had missed 4 points.
Yeah,
and I was sitting there thinking, oh, this is going to be awful for Harrison. Like, I just feel bad for him.
Lynn Elliott all over again.
He's literally been the most
Tucker
consistent
has no clue
kicker.
who Lynn Elliott is, by the way.
I was born in 1998.
She was very famous back in the day.
Cool, cool. But I was like, man, I just feel bad for the dude because he's been, like, consistent and consistently good. Like, Justin Tucker level good since he's been in Kansas City, and he's now going to catch a bunch of heat for missing these 4 points. The discourse following that game, I was going to be very curious if the Chiefs lost. I know we've kind of like forgot all of that we were going to kind of go on about just because Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he's an amazing football player, but I don't think that any of that should be forgotten of like how they got to that point because they left some points on the board going into halftime. That game could have been out of reach by halftime, and
The Chiefs. I'm going to pull up short of calling that game fake close. But I do think that the Chiefs outplayed the Bills. And I think the Chiefs, probably a few adjustments to that game, win that by double digits potentially. Like, I think about like taking the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands to run, the option into the boundary on 3rd and 1. And just a few things, like a few adjustments, and Harrison Butker, and we're talking about a 10-point game.
But thank you for pulling up short of calling a game fake close. That was literally a 3-point deficit with literally a dozen seconds left.
I'm just saying, there's just like two, like you could adjust two things there, and literally, I don't think you can say the same about the Bills situation. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, where they put out pretty much their best work, and the Chiefs still had some unforced errors, and the Bills did also have at least one punt on 4th and 1 that didn't make any sense.
That was the one.
I haven't had to even begin to talk about bad 4th down calls all week because of everything else we've been talking about, which is great because it's believe it or not, everyone listening, that is actually more fun, even for me, than being critical about coaches making dumb 4th down decisions.
You didn't like that 4th and 4 punt though, did you?
I've never liked a punt.
I know. Yeah, clearly. Yeah,
that's where Tucker and I have diverged in a way that is like fodder for a movie where like the Padawan, where Anakin is finally turning to the dark side. I don't know which one of us is which, but one of us has embraced the punting, and that's been very hard for me to watch from afar for a Pikachu mixtape.
Well, I will say I like going for it on 4th down, and every time like there's a 4th down, I tell Kent because we watched all these games together. I said you should go for it.
The Chiefs were on the 1-yard line in the shadow of their own end zone, and Tucker was like, I don't know.
It was like 4th and 8.
Probably go for it, but I appreciate the art of punting when you do punt. I think that's kind of what it is. Yeah.
I can allow that.
Yeah, it's a weird juxtaposition here because he's full on embraced Tommy Townsend as his somehow
great hold. Yeah. It was a great hold from Tommy Townsend on that final kick. Not a perfect snap. He had to come up to his chest a little bit to grab that thing, put it down, laces out.
Little body adjustment there.
Athletes
it was nice.
Athlete things.
That's
yeah.
I want to do power rankings while you guys are here, obviously, so we're going to do that at some point before we hit the end of all of this. But because we're on a Chiefs run now, I think we can just like do one more Chiefs thing.
This is the fastest we've ever got to Chiefs talk.
I know because
it's amazing.
Because I really want to make sure that we do get to it and then have the freedom to say bye Chiefs and do power rankings.
Fair enough.
So what right now do you feel like you can successfully take from Chiefs Bengals round 1, and what should people not try to take from Chiefs Bengals round 1 looking ahead to this game?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, you're really good at this.
I appreciate that, Kent.
One thing
right into the mic.
It always seems like you actually read my article before you talk to me too. Whenever we talk on most Wednesdays.
Yeah, it's fun because you can never really know.
I know. Yeah, That's very true. I will say, like, I think the thing that bothers me, that worries me, is just what we've seen Jamar Chase actually do to this defense. Like, and that's always going to be the thing that's kind of like sitting in the back of my head. And honestly, that's the only thing sitting in the back of my head when it comes to like concern about this football game. It's Jamar Chase. The Chiefs really didn't, they didn't do much in the way of trying to force Joe Burrow to play with other weapons on his offense, which, by the way, his other weapons are very good.
Yeah.
Like, we don't talk much enough about that, but the Jamar Chase storyline is really the only thing. Is like, we've seen this guy do a lot of things to this team, and those two connect on a lot of big plays. That's the really only concerning thing I have when it comes to this game, and that I think I feel very good about this game, even with that fact, knowing that fact. Because, like, again, like, if we want to talk about fake close games, like, that the Chiefs actually lost, I know it sounds crazy, but look at the context of that football game. A few things go different that game, and it's a blowout.
For sure. That game wasn't close at half, right? They were up 2 possessions at half.
They were up 11 at halftime, I believe.
Yeah, and I think that what's really interesting, I had a conversation with a former Kansas City Chiefs quarterback, Matt Castle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, about this.
Heard of him.
And we kind of talked, and he said, this game shouldn't be close. Like, on paper, it shouldn't be close. The Chiefs are a better football team. They've got better talent. Jamar Chase, great guy, great football player. Joe Burrow,
former KU commit, Jamar Chase, by the way.
Yeah, I forgot that you were going to bring that up.
Yeah.
How could you ever forget he was going to bring that up?
We did a whole segment talking, just about that, basically.
Joe Burrow's a good quarterback. He can get it to him. But you can't expect all those, or 100% of 50-50 balls to get there to Jamar Chase, and Jamar Chase to go for 260 yards. I think that's kind of a big thing that Jamar Chase put a record day for a rookie wide receiver, and it took a record day for a rookie wide receiver to kind of beat this team. And Charvarius Ward is coming off a really good performance of Stephon Diggs, and that's a guy who thrives off of confidence, and that's a big, huge confidence builder going into this game. I think they're going to be ready. And listen, I don't know if this game's going to be close. Can I say that?
I feel the same. I'm really hoping it isn't. I want some stress-free football this weekend.
The crew is better. The officiating crew is better than what they had.
Oh, we haven't even talked about that yet.
Go ahead.
I mean, it's just like that was one of the most egregiously, refereed football games that really kind of, I think, affected the outcome of that football game. Let's just, I think circumstantially a lot of things had to happen for the Bengals to win. Oh, by the way, they were at home for that game.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, this game should not be close, and if we're gonna rely on the outlier of Jamar Chase going for over 200 yards,
right?
Sure, okay, I guess. Now there's a chance.
I want to talk specifically about that outlier, though, because this is something I was thinking about earlier that is really unique to that game. The Chiefs have not been torched by number one receivers this year. You can go through the divisional opponents for the most part. I think Keenan Allen had an okay game in there. Darren Waller didn't play one of those games, and obviously he's not a true receiver. Yep. But you look at Buffalo, Stephon Diggs was 3 for 7. His only important catch was on a 2-point conversion. But then you have Gabriel Davis have a Jamar Chase style stat line.
Well, yeah.
Tell me what's different there.
Well,
I have a theory.
I think the Chiefs have done a very good job of forcing low percentage throws outside of the numbers, and a lot of number one receivers tend to operate outside the numbers. So the Chiefs are going to encourage that that fade outside those field fades, those routes outside the numbers, and most teams are not going to hit those routes consistently. The Chiefs have done it. The Chiefs are just willing to give those up in a lot of. That's why they play in a lot of too high coverage. They're going to really try to take away stuff in the middle of the field. Things got really ugly with Gabriel Davis because Tyrann Mathieu being out was massive and very. I mean, Armani Watts is playing a lot. No offense to Armani Watts, but
he's no Tyrann Mathieu.
So Jamar Chase is moving along. He's moving, kind of maybe moving in the middle of the field. They're gonna probably try to create some more opportunities for him, but outside the numbers, the Chiefs have historically taken their chances, and so that's been a thing that they've kind of hung their hat on, and it's worked really well. Historically, over the course of the Steve Spagnuolo era, that's been a very good strategy for them to employ. They've invested a lot of money in between the hashes, which you can make a lot of logic to support that decision. We're going to invest in linebackers, and we're going to invest in safeties. We're going to have some of the best safeties in the National Football League at times, like that when Juan Thornhill and Tyrann Mathieu are at their powers. The outside they haven't spent a lot of money, so forcing low percentage throws farther away from the quarterback is never, it hasn't proven to be a real big issue. It definitely was as kind of an outlier with Jamar Chase, even though he's very good, and so is Joe Burrow in those situations.
The boundary stuff is interesting because that was sort of the beginning of the theory for me. Is whenever you force guys out to play outside, like people talk all the time about like the boundary being an additional defender, and maybe that being a place where Steve Spagnuolo is. He says, "Hey, Charvarius Ward, you're not going to get help from someone else, but you can use the boundary here. But if you're Jamar Chase, you are better than two defenders right there, being both the sideline and Charvarius Ward. So like, are they going to adjust to deal with Jamar Chase differently this time?
I think so. I mean, Tucker.
I think they'd have to. I don't think you can watch that game and say, "Oh, let's do the same thing." And I think Rashad Fenton being out in that divisional game was huge.
Yeah.
I know he's been playing a lot. He's been playing a lot more towards the boundary than he has inside as a slot corner. But I like him in the slot personally. I know some people don't like him in the slot, but I think that's kind of another one of those things that can kind of seal up that middle. But I do think that you can't watch Jamar Chase go for a historic performance and say, "All right, let's run the same defense.
Let's run cover 0 on 4th and 27.
Let's
do that. Let's just run the same old.
Yeah.
No,
Spags isn't dumb.
I'm lockstep with you. I think they'll probably make some adjustments, but I don't know if they're going to make it entire. Like I think they'll probably still pick their spots and say, here's the thing. The truth of the matter is, they could have won that football game very easily, even with Jamar Chase doing everything they've done. They scored 3 points in the second half. They scored 28. They're running down the field without any problems, without any real resistance in the first half. Andy might have managed that game a little bit poorly in the second half. And I actually think about, we talked about, they had 3 possessions in the second half. Only 3 possessions in the second half. The first 2, they were leading. And then the last one, they kind of turned up the heat a little bit. Trying to move down the field with a little. I think there's probably some management. And I think, Josh, we've talked about this. It's teams are trying to show as little as they can while winning. I think Andy probably pulled up the reins a little bit. You're not getting that in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah. I think that's true, except for situational 4th down midfield situations when I do think we're going to just keep getting the same stuff. Because in those 3 possessions, they forfeited one of those for 30 yards of field position to let Tommy Townsend punt. No offense, Tommy Townsend. We've been over this.
The funny thing is, Josh,
they did it again against the Bills.
But Andy Reid is. I saw a stat on Twitter. It was basically like Andy Reid goes for it when he should more than anybody in the NFL.
I think last I had seen he's in a top percentage, and also there are still places where you could expand the amount of time that Patrick Mahomes is allowed to be on the field.
Yeah.
And I would like to continue to expand that. He's not the biggest. He's not the worst head coach in football at that. He's much closer to the top. And still, there's always ask Andy Reid if he has room to grow in any aspect of his football mind. He'll say, "Of course he can," because you're always learning, you're always growing, you're always doing new things.
There's always a new cheeseburger.
Kent's making a face at me right now. Is his offense different than it was pre-Patrick Mahomes?
100%.
Of course it is. Of course it is. There's always room to improve. He just needs to, play some Madden, maybe. You guys want to do some power rankings?
I guess.
I'm scared because we were talking about this beforehand. I don't know if I've ever done this with you.
You have not. This was a Tucker almost entirely sports intern a product of that era.
Had to keep myself relevant.
And he's stuck around. He's kept that around every step of the way post-internship. And this has become a real staple. The difficulty here now is that due to circumstances beyond our own control, Kent is playing the role of Rudy. Tucker's playing the role of me, actually. I'm playing the role of Tucker. That's not true. We're all ourselves. But Kent is going to take the torch from Rudy here for the power rankings. Here's the other thing, though. I do have one that I've ranked ahead of time based off what one we were going to do a few weeks back.
Right.
Everything else, we're going to have to do it off the top of the dome. No. And so, Tucker, I'm going to entrust you, and Kent, we'll let you go last at least off the top here so you can learn the feel of the game. But, Tucker, do you have your top 5 countertop appliances?
I don't. That's at home, but I think I can kind of go from the cuff there.
Okay, so top 5. Kent, earlier we were talking about this, and Kent was like, top five's play. You should. Top 5's play, right? We're going to do top 5 things? Absolutely. Kent, here's the thing. We're not doing top 5 pass catchers on the Kansas City Chiefs, okay? Although we could. We're not. We're going to do the top 5 countertop appliances, and then Tucker's going to just throw some out, and it's going to become a real improv sketch, and that's concerning to me.
Anything with Tucker is concerning to me, if I'm being honest. I've worked with him for 6 months here, so
that's very
He's
fair.
Still a youth.
Yeah, and you're just so old. Like
I'm in my 30s. I've got 2 children. I've been through it twice.
So many.
His kids' ages are closer to me than my age is to him.
I believe that. I think that's probably not true mathematically, but I think it's
closer than you want to admit.
That's the problem. I know it's definitely not true, but it is definitely a factor closer than Kent would like it to be.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
there was a whole series of jokes that I decided to go ahead and just chuck and then do the power rankings.
Yeah, table those.
Okay, so here's how we're going to start. We're going to go top 5 countertop appliances. I'm going to go first because I got a list right here.
Do you go 5 to 1 or 1 to 5?
Well, you're going to have to find out once you can't, so I'll go first.
Okay.
Number 5. My number 5 countertop appliance is an ice maker. The ice maker in our freezer doesn't work, so I went and bought a countertop ice machine. We can then dump it into the freezer, and you can have ice there all you need. I did not have ice in my life because of a fridge/kitchen issue. Now I do again. The ice maker gets into my top 5 list.
I feel older now knowing that you have a tabletop ice maker and it's just not in your fridge.
But it's an issue with the ground underneath the fridge, and so we can't use like the water. Our landlord said not to like use the water line because if the water leaks, it gets into the wood or whatever. So I bought an ice maker.
Have you had to buy a fridge in your life?
Twice, at least once. The one that we have at the house was bought by Renee and I.
I was just curious because like I've been through that 3 times now, so I was just curious. You know,
do you have any fridge advice?
Buy one with an ice maker.
Yeah, fair enough. Tucker, what's your number 5 countertop appliance?
Gosh, this is a good category. Whoever thought this was really good.
Yeah,
at this.
it's probably smart and handsome.
I'm gonna do really well.
He's good at TikTok.
I'm probably gonna go with toaster. I think that it's a very strong one, but I don't think it's necessarily the top one. I think it's something that you have to have, but I don't think it's something that. Yep, that's my number 1. So I'm gonna go with that at 5.
I'm also going to suggest, I wrote down top 5 things to dip chips in. I think that was a suggestion last time. Let's do that one next. So you can have a couple processes going here if you feel like multitasking.
So I can't double up? Is this how this game works?
No, you can. Usually we do them ourselves ahead of time, and if we duplicate, we duplicate. So what's your number 5 one, Kent?
See, I've got a very strong number 3, or top 3, honestly. And I think toaster is probably the number 5 answer. Like, I think I'm going to whoop your guys' butt 3 through 1 very easily.
It's not really a competition. We're just kind of having fun.
Look, you know what?
Just kind of some friends having fun talking about their favorite appliances.
I will go with a toaster. I think that's the right move there.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's a good job, Tucker. I'm very fascinated what 4 through 1 is going to be for you, though.
Number 4 for me is the microwave. I don't love it, but it is necessary at this point.
I guess that's considered.
You could be a tabletop. It could, or a countertop.
It is for me. Yeah. For me, it's sitting on the counter in the kitchen. I use it regularly. Again, it's not the most graceful countertop appliance, but it's a necessary one. Tucker, do you have a number 4 yet?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with like a blender or a NutriBullet type thing. I think that's a solid number 4. It's obviously not a necessity. Makes your life a whole heck of a lot easier when you have one of those.
I'm really hoping I can deviate away from you.
Yeah, it feels like you're copying his homework right now.
I'm very frustrated. I think at least I'll rearrange the order just to be different from Tucker moving forward.
No, go ahead. No, you got a top 3. You have a strong top 3.
It's the same for me with Tucker on number 4.
Okay.
3 through 1.
Well, we're not there yet, so you just keep that in your pants for a second. Would you mind?
Okay.
So for me, number 3 is a toaster. I know you guys haven't mentioned this yet, but I think toasters are great.
Oh.
You can throw some frozen waffles in them. You can throw some bread in them. That's kind of it. But I enjoy my toaster more than I enjoy the microwave. You know.
You would do a toaster strudel.
You could even. That's got a lot of carbs, a lot of sugar in there. It's that's gonna. I gotta figure some things out.
I wasn't trying to twist the knife there. I'm sorry.
It's more about twisting the needle that I have to have that insulin goes through.
You could twist the needle without it really affecting anything, though, right?
Can you?
It's a bothersome phrase, right?
Yeah,
it's unpleasant.
It's creepier for sure.
I don't enjoy it. That's okay. Tucker, your number 3 countertop appliance.
So I think number 3, I'm going to go with Keurig, just because I'm a 1 cup of coffee guy. If I do drink coffee, not very often, I'm a G Fuel guy though, through and through. If I do drink coffee and I want a nice warm beverage, I want 1 cup. I don't want a whole pot. That's why I side with the Keurig rather than just a full coffee pot.
Okay, well, this is where my experience, I think, is really.
You actually hold on a second.
Oh.
Kent, number 3.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
We do things a certain way around here.
There's a process to this.
Yeah.
This is where my experience is really going to start playing a factor here. And Josh, this is some advice for you, honestly.
Yeah.
If you are looking to, have you guys registered yet?
We have not.
Okay.
No, I'd love to get some tips on this.
Where are you going to register?
Don't know. No, literally haven't given it a minute of thought.
You know, there's like this.
Vote for?
You know, there's there's a price point. You know, there's some things that are kind of expensive more than others. The KitchenAid, which is a fancy mixer that can do a lot of different things, has a lot of different extensions, is like the perfect gift for like a grandma or a grandpa to provide you. And it's got a lot of versatility. It's a well-built product. You can use it for several different things. It's a fancy mixer. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't entirely know the capabilities of it, and I'm talking about it. But the KitchenAid, it's probably number one, but I want to deviate a little bit away from Tucker here. And, just...
Hey, man, can I copy your homework? Yeah, just change the order.
I would register for a KitchenAid if I were you.
Okay.
And, there's either, like, a really generous aunt... Or like it's a good grandparent gift for sure. Like I think you will get it because every grandma's gonna look at it and go, you know what, Joshua, and they're gonna use your full name.
Sure,
Joshua needs that.
Okay, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Thank you. I'm gonna write that down. I didn't write it down.
Okay.
Number 2 for me is a slam dunk. It's the air fryer. The air fryer is a game changer. It is huge. It is basically a toaster oven that is also a deep fryer with air fueling it all. It's wonderful. Everyone should have one. I bet it's going to show up on Kent's list based on his reaction to that.
Yeah,
Tucker, number 2.
My number 2 is the waffle maker. Now,
I love my waffle maker, and it's not on my list. That's number 4. Ice maker's out of my top 5.
Wait, is your waffle maker just sitting on your countertop frequently? Like, I'm just thinking of things that are stationary.
But you would put it on your countertop to use it.
Yeah, but like it's very much hidden. Like this is like, okay, we're gonna talk about ninjas now. Like, I mean,
what?
I just said
a ninja blender.
I thought
your blender sits on your cabinet, a countertop all the time?
No.
Right, I said a blender earlier.
It is a
blender does, but like
it's an appliance that is placed on the counter when it's time to use it.
I think that's a cop out, but that's okay.
I think you're really being a bit of a Pharisee here.
I'm in my 30s here, so
that's also true.
I in college
it's also past
his
bedtime.
That's true. That's a good point too.
I was famous for 30-second waffles. I just put the batter in and just do it for 30 seconds because I like them doughy.
You like them rare.
I like my waffles, so I like my steaks.
Them rare. Oh my gosh.
You eat rare waffles.
I do.
Why?
They taste better.
Do they though?
I don't like them crispy. I like them doughy.
I'm disappointed.
I think I gotta go home and lay down. You don't want the outside to even be crispy. You want that whole thing to. So what you want actually is a pancake, right?
Oh. I guess. A pancake with ridges.
I think you want a pancake that's got little syrup compartments.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I love the waffle maker anyway. Kent, what's your number 2?
I'm gonna layer this.
Okay.
It's an air fryer, but you also have to have a Costco membership to go with it.
Okay.
Because they have a wide variety of quality frozen products that you can throw into that air fryer and change the game. They had some cheese curds going for a minute. Oh my gosh! Are you allowed to have cheese curds?
I
Josh?
can. Mostly just fat and dairy. So it's easy.
They're money. But here's the other game changer. Costco now has these chicken nuggets that taste identical to Chick-fil-A. And I know as a former Chick-fil-A employee, you might be just like immune to that statement. I'm going to talk to Tucker directly.
I'd like you to send me a picture of these.
Oh my God.
Please.
I will.
Because Renee's a big Costco fan.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, so like if you've got an air fryer and you're not leveraging the Costco frozen session you're making,
we are occasionally. I did not know about these chicken nuggets though.
Yeah, they're called Bear Essential something. I don't know.
Naked nuggets.
They're bare, like they're very minimally fried or breaded.
Which is also great for me and my new lifestyle choices.
Yeah. So
my new addictions.
You can get these, and then you can also go and buy. Do you guys do the Chick-fil-A sauce, specific Chick-fil-A sauce?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you have to ask because some people are, not cool like that. You can get
and why would anybody? There's no good reason to not be cool with Chick-fil-A. Not that I can think of.
Chick-fil-A sauce is what I said, Joshua. The Chick-fil-A sauce to go and pair with these nuggets. It's like you're eating at Chick-fil-A for half the price, and it's probably like a fourth of the price if we're being honest.
Wow.
So, I'm just saying the life hack is the air fryer, but also in conjunction with that, make sure you are leveraging that with a Costco membership to get all the frozen delights that are available to you.
Well, we were going to do another one. Oh, my number 1 is a Keurig for the reasons that Tucker said. It's just a machine that absolutely gets me those good morning juices flowing.
Y'all are wrong.
I make a French press every once in a while, but the Keurig's just really convenient. What's your number 1, Tucker? We got to hurry this up. We were going to do another one, but then can't have to talk about his naked nuggets for 15 minutes.
You had an essay written about each one. Mine's an air fryer.
What do you put in there? You put your nuggets in there?
I put whatever I want in there.
What's your... Hey, Tucker, we got about 47 seconds left here. Yeah, let's call it timeout. Yeah, go ahead. We got...
Deep fried Oreos in an air fryer. You wrap an Oreo in a croissant, and it's delicious.
Oh, my God.
Oh, and cover it in powdered sugar. You can't eat that. So, Tucker, it's
I mean,
delicious.
I can eat it. It just has its
You gotta
consequence. I have to
It's
prepare
really,
for it.
It's really good. Can I get my number one really quick?
Unfortunately, we're out of time.
Coffee maker. Keurig's is too expensive. You can save a lot of money just making coffee out of a real coffee maker. Sorry.
Like in a pot?
Yes.
I would waste the coffee if I made a pot of coffee.
Well, also, I don't know if you've noticed, but Tucker and I were born within the last 30 years, and so we don't use machines that were made for my Meemaw and Peepaw.
You guys, look,
you got a little spit in your beard there, by the way.
Josh, you're on the verge of becoming more than one person in your household. Oh, I guess you are. You guys are already.
We've been living in sin for
you guys,
almost 2 years now.
Nice.
Well, look, just go.
That's why I keep eating Chick-fil-A. I'm hoping it evens out in God's eyes.
Start making a pot of coffee for the love of God. And
I'll make a French press. I'll do it in a French press.
Okay, that's fine. But like a coffee maker,
Keurig's just nice to have.
If you get a good coffee maker, you can do the work. It'll do the same thing. It'll taste delicious. I promise you. Do you put cream in your coffee?
I occasionally, because I'm now experimenting with some sugar-free creamers.
Have you tried drinking just coffee black?
Yeah, almost exclusively.
Okay,
almost
good.
exclusively.
That's
I get the little
progress.
Cameron's eco-friendly Keurig pods. They don't have as much plastic. They have a light roast. I'll just talk to you, Tucker. They're great.
Yeah.
They're relatively cheap.
I've done the Keurig
$7
thing
or
for
$8
while.
a pod. It's not that big of a deal.
I've done the Keurig thing for a while, and I just don't understand.
20
you
cents a
guys
pod.
can save money, and you can be more frugal and get the same quality coffee and more, and not have to pour or pop a pod in every 10 ounces. Like, there's better ways to do this, guys.
You can save money, but at what cost? At the cost of time. Time is money. Keurigs are quicker. Therefore, Keurigs are cheaper.
Are they quicker though? How many cups of
I don't
coffee
drink
are you
enough
drinking a
coffee.
day?
I'm drinking
7, 12. I don't know.
So you could
No,
pour.
can't. I have like 1 or 2 most of the time.
If you have 2, you pour.
Do you know
a
that
little
Costco
coffee.
has a little canned cold brew, by the way?
Yes.
I got one in the fridge in there.
Costco
actually.
has everything, man.
They really do.
They really do. They have golf balls for
You know
my
what-
golf addiction that I have now.
You know what they don't have?
Hashtag team sticks.
You know what they don't have, Tucker, at Costco?
More time for this segment.
That, and also a chance to become 5 years younger, so you can be the same age as your peers in this room, Kent.
You guys will thank me someday with this. Play this conversation in 5 years.
Play this conversation back in 5 years, and you'll appreciate me when I'm gone.
Yeah, Josh will have baby number 2 on the way.
Yeah.
If Seth has anything to say, it's baby number 4.
I don't want Seth anywhere involved in the baby-making process on any level. It's Kent Swanson, Tucker D. Franklin of KC Sports Network. You can follow Tucker on Twitter, and you can tell Kent to go to hell.
Did you know you can listen to almost This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
I have a lot of whips.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Thanks again to Kent Swanson and Tucker, divisional round champion Franklin, for joining us here to talk about the Chiefs. Do a few power rankings, and it's just good to see those two beautiful boys back in the building, just getting to talk about some things. It's just so wonderful to get to talk to them. I don't know that I got every single thing of theirs plugged because it would literally take the remainder of this show. But KC Sports Network's doing fabulous work. The KC Laboratory podcast. Tucker's doing a lot behind the scenes and a good amount in front of the scenes whenever he can get Kent to stop putting his own face in front of every camera that's out there.
He loves the TikToks.
Both
He's
of them.
not bad at it.
Tucker's
pretty good at the TikTok.
He's pretty good at the TikTok.
He's pretty good at the TikTok.
Yeah, he's like I'm telling you, man, Pikachu mixtape just as a username.
It's a good username.
It's just absolutely tremendous.
It's good.
The one thing there that we talked about earlier on around Chiefs Bengals, I know I'm going back to it. I had two paths here. I could either ask Rudy about Pokemon Legends, and we'll talk about it at some point this week, Rudy. We'll talk about it. I promise. We'll talk about it at some point.
I mean, there's not a ton to say right now, other than I'm very excited.
I want to hear you being excited about it. But if I don't do this now, I will forget.
I'm excited about?
Oh my God, here it is.
You know what else I'm excited about?
I wonder if the listeners are at the point where they can figure out where the show's about to go to bleep.
You know what I'm really excited about?
What are you really excited about?
I'm really excited for this Bengals game.
All right, you got me.
It's an AFC title game, baby. It's fourth one in a row. Kansas City.
It's ridiculous. Another element of that.
Patrick Mahomes has literally never not played in an AFC title game in his starting existence.
It's unbelievable. It is
4
unreal.
for 4.
And think about the teams that they've gone up against. It was the Patriots. It was the Titans. It was the Bills. It's the Bengals. 4 different teams. The Patriots holding on one of their last runs. There's one more. Brady didn't leave until the year after that, right?
Yes.
I think that's right.
Yeah. Yep.
So they're second to last run together.
This is his second year in Tampa Bay.
Right. Because he showed up and won the whole damn thing.
His first year. Now he's going to retire.
No chance.
0 chance.
I'd like to. Is there a place I can bet money on that? I would like to gamble on that.
I mean, probably. Yeah, probably. I mean, not in Kansas because it's, dumb laws, but.
What odds would you give me on Tom Brady retiring versus not retiring right now?
Oh, boy.
I got to make my Jamar Chase point because if I don't, I'm not only going to not remember it next week.
25,000 to 1.
Which side of that would you rather? I'll bet $1.
Okay, if you win, I'll give you $25,000.
Okay, I'm betting that Tom Brady does retire at 25,000 to 1.
Gotcha.
And if he does play next year, I'll give you $1.
I'll take it.
Okay, deal.
Seems like a fair bet.
I let you pick the line, I let you pick the line and which side of it you wanted.
Yeah.
I've been very generous.
Yeah, I think you're a fool for this one.
Yeah.
Sorry, my mic is about to break on me. I'm going to let you talk. This is not a joke. My mic is like, oh, goodness. Let's go to the Facebook.
Yeah, let's let Twitch and everybody see that.
If I let go of the mic.
Mm-hmm. It was so much louder than I thought it was going to be. It really caught me off guard.
It just collapsed.
Yeah.
It broke.
Spring broke.
The spring broke in that last segment.
Yeah.
There.
If that's all it took for you to let me talk, I would have broken the microphone stand a long time ago. That's really the thing, Rudy. I've been meaning to bring this up. I just don't think that this show includes enough of me talking. I'm glad we can finally hash that out. We talked about it there with Kent and Tucker. Rudy just told me something, but Rudy was telling me how much time was left on the show, but I couldn't hear it because he was 4 feet from his microphone because his microphone stand is broken. It's probably like 6.5 now, right?
Probably.
So the thing that is like I think the only thing sticking in anyone's head right now in terms of where could this go wrong for the Chiefs is Ja'Marr Chase, and then secondarily Ja'Marr Chase, and then third you could argue that Ja'Marr Chase could be an issue. But I think those are the top three things. And it's kind of funny because I do agree with Kent and Tucker both in them saying like, hey, they can't possibly just run it back and play Chase the exact same way they did the first time, right? I agree with that, but I do think that Spags could say, if we just got pressure more often and didn't have some bad penalties, I'm not saying all refereeing bad or all playing bad. It was a mix of both, some poor refereeing and some poor play. But as long as we don't take a bunch of dumb penalties and get some pressure, then I think we're actually probably would have beaten the Bengals the first time, And I think you'd probably be right. But I really do think that whenever you consider where the Chiefs have been successful this year in terms of what is the outlier with number one receivers, they shut down Stephon Diggs, and then all those other guys, and not a ton of them were like, top shelf number one receivers. There's a mix there. They got Keenan Allen, and you could say then Darren Waller is not a number one receiver, but a top flight tight end. Jerry Jeudy, they tried a couple of shots to him, especially in that second matchup. You could point to any of those Steelers guys, although they kind of fluctuate. CeeDee Lamb, perhaps. Devontae Adams, certainly, but that was with Jordan Love at quarterback. I understand that there's not a lot of Stephon Diggs or Ja'Marr Chases that the Chiefs faced down the stretch because those guys aren't common. But typically, the number one pass catcher that teams wanted to get the ball to, the Chiefs have done a pretty good job dealing with, except for Ja'Marr Chase. And then Gabriel Davis was the guy that had to beat them, which is why I'm a little bit worried about T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd this weekend, because I think that would be the place the Bengals may actually have to go, except for the fact that Chase just did it. And I think is in a pretty good place to do it again. Because like we talked about there, Charvarius Ward opposite Stephon Diggs was stupendous on Sunday. I don't have the exact splits of how often he was across from Diggs, but I know it was a decent chunk of the time. And Diggs was largely invisible. In a game without Rashad Fenton or Tyrann Mathieu, who, as we mentioned earlier, did not practice today. I don't think that's a real red flag. I think tomorrow he should probably get cleared. It'd be great if he got cleared before practice, as they're doing more stuff on Thursdays, but we'll see. But whenever you have a receiver along a boundary and you have him one-on-one, that's a spot, generally speaking, where the defender has at least a couple of advantages. Receiver goes up, you push him out of bounds, that's not a penalty. It hasn't been a penalty in like 5 or 6 years, right? Maybe longer. You have a quarterback trying to thread the ball in there. He doesn't have a very large margin for error. If you throw it too far inside, the corner all of a sudden has the play on the ball. You underthrow it. Both guys have a play on the ball. You overthrow it. It's incomplete. You throw it too far outside. It's out of bounds. I mean, you've got to thread that needle to make a play like that work. And or have a wide receiver who can straight up just leap over very good cornerbacks like Charvarius Ward. And Ja'Marr Chase did that. And I have no reason to think he won't do it again. I don't know that they can be as successful at as consistent a clip as they were the first time through. But it's something to think about in terms of, and I'm as guilty of this as anybody. This is not, I'm acknowledging that my house is mostly glass here. But Steve Spagnuolo running a freaking engage 8 on 3rd and 27 is still not the call that I would have made there. Like to have a little wiggle room, and also would rather play to make sure you don't give up that enormous play as opposed to just trying to keep it a long field goal or not come out of field goal range or not make it a super short field goal. I get all of that.
And a gauge 7 where you have one less guy just to maybe put a little focus on Jamar Chase, that would be cool.
Or just somebody who had their heels 27 yards downfield to just let them just run around whenever. Just put Tyrann Mathieu back there and just let him run fast towards wherever the ball gets thrown, you know? Or just on Jamar Chase. But if there's a reason that you don't see a whole lot of those just sideline throws made over and over and over again. It's a very difficult throw, even if you have a really good matchup. Because again, Jamar Chase is going to get up and over some of these dudes. And still, that's not a throw you want to make all that often. All you have to do as a corner is get a fingertip on it most of the time. You pop it up and out. And you're good. Keep it moving. I do think we will still see Spags trust Charvarius Ward and L'Jarius Sneed. Rashad Fitton did practice today, which is great news. I think you're still going to see Spags trust those guys. I just wouldn't mind there being a little bit more of a backup plan, a little more of a contingency plan where they learn from the fact that running it quite that way last time obviously had its moments of horror, terror, weeping and gnashing of teeth. I think you can trust your guys, still play your defense, and give yourself a little bit of a safety net. Pun not intended, but accepted, for Jamar Chase. I don't think that's too much to ask for. Rudy, scale 1 to 10 right now. How excited are you for Legends?
10.
Is that how many seconds are left in the show?
No, there's 20. But
okay.
I would say I'm a 10. I'm very excited.
You are fully
yeah. It could
torqued up.
It could be just a. I don't think it's gonna be a bad game. It could be mediocre. It could just be okay.
Right now you're at a 10.
But there's a lot of things that are very cool about it. I think will be very exciting.
We'll talk about it more at some point. I'm excited for it as well. But I don't know if I'm a 10. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Till then, bye, Mom.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The Chiefs and Bengals in the AFC Championship.